Morning. Oh, I have no volume.
Good morning.
Morning. Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Okay. I was like, my mic is not on. I gotta rename myself here. I have a new setup with more than one screen and monitor, and I might lose my mind, so we'll figure it out.
I did too. Yeah.
We need music or something. Does anybody want to? No? Nobody wants to sing?
Good morning. Good morning. Hey, Erin, how are you?
Today,
Are you having trouble with your microphone?
that's what can you not hear me?
You're not there. I hear you, but you're not here.
Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah, no, I'll try again.
It's perfect now. It's good now.
Right, well, then that must mean I need to be right on my mic.
Gotta be right up close.
Yeah. I don't want to do that. Okay. Deb, are you presenting today? I was just looking.
I am. I switched with Lorna.
Oh, okay. All right. I was like, who am I waiting for? Okay. Let me make you a co-host so you
Yeah.
can grab the screen.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Already set up. That's good. So you can grab the screen. Do you have
Okay.
anyone assisting you today?
I really don't.
Okay. I'll stay. That's fine.
Oh, good.
Erin,
Yeah.
I am monitoring the chat today.
Oh, you are.
And
Great,
awesome.
Ann. That's awesome. Okay,
Awesome,
perfect.
great,
So you do have
perfect.
help today. Nice to see you, Ann.
Thank you.
Yeah, I don't know. Lorna had something, and I believe, I'm not sure if I'm doing next Wednesday either, so I've got to look at that thing.
Okay.
Also, quick question, I'm sure this has been asked. Are you guys keeping attendance somewhere in the back end?
So Zoom should have a recording when people log in. I don't know when, now that you're just coming in on the open link, if it records the attendance or not. I'll have to check. I know when you have to register, like when you have to put in your email to come into Zoom, it will give us a report of like everybody that came to the meeting. I don't know now that the link is open if it does that.
Okay.
I'll just have to check. Maybe Cassie will know the answer.
Right. Again, it's our only second pandemic, Ignite.
I feel really lucky though to be able to do this and to have all these voices from all over the region.
I agree.
And have everybody get to network a little bit with each other and learn and just, I don't know. I feel like we have a nice little community going here, even though we're on Zoom and it's a pandemic and we're in different parts of the region. So
it is amazing. I would think, and I guess we can ask the class, I'm sure it's been asked. Well, who's ever done Ignite in class? Anyone? Ann? Yeah.
Old people have.
Well, people from last February have.
yeah.
Right? So I know for me as a student, so to speak, I would much rather have a large group in different trainers. And I don't know, I guess, I think it's great that you guys get to learn from a lot of different trainers because we all bring a different skill level and energy level and all that good stuff.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I feel like it's been you know, both times this is only our second time, like Deb said, doing this. And I feel like it's been pretty cool. The energy has been really good, and I look forward to coming in the morning. And yeah, so despite the fact that it's on Zoom, I would love to be in a room with all of you.
I know, we'll have to figure out that someday. Well, we'd all be at family reunion next month together, and we'd be connecting somewhere, but we'll get there.
I really still talk about that every day. I say to Tim, like, every day, so our tickets for Vegas are still good, right? When are we going? He's like, and nobody's going to Vegas for the conference. I'm like, what? I want to go.
That's funny.
Yeah.
So that's good. Yeah, that's something that, although I think they handle it really well digitally, Mega Camp was awesome. Yeah, maybe it isn't as hard as walking around Texas in 115 degrees and waiting outside to get into the restaurant, and your feet are killing you by, 5 o'clock. So yeah, it's really, there's a lot of good to not actually going, not to mention the money everybody has saved. All right. Yeah. So open houses, we're psyched. Today's class is about open houses. So everybody ready to get into the program? Looks like we have a little bit of a small group. I wondered this morning, are people watching,
the inauguration? Yeah, I think there's a lot going on.
Ride. Yeah.
Deb, can I just walk you through how to put the class on Facebook, or if you want to go into the participants and make me the host, I can do it.
Hold on a minute. I can hit here live, go live on Facebook, or go, should I do that?
Yeah, and then you're going to choose our Ignite, our KWNE Ignite 2.0 group and put it in there.
Let me do it again. Live on Facebook. Let's see what happens. Let's see if this will be a.
It should give you a choice of where.
Spinning. I might just make you host.
That's fine.
Yeah.
I'll just make you co-host, and you still can share the screen and do everything you need to do. And I can also make Ann a co-host as well.
Good. All right, here we go. So Erin. All right, where am I going? Erin McLaughlin. I have you as co-host, but you need to be host.
Yeah, in order to put us on Facebook. Yes.
I'm sorry. Thank you guys for your patience on this weirdness. All right, cool. We got to go on Facebook, man. Everybody wants to know. So yeah, I have a slight feeling that's what everyone is doing, and that's cool. So yeah, let me do a little screen share here. Let's, uh-oh, I can't screen share.
Oh, 1 second. I'm just putting us on Facebook. I'll give you that permission in a second.
Hold on, caller.
Sorry.
Sorry. All right, we're getting more people. We've got 52.
Yeah, it's 9:01. There, it's like a Wednesday, but it feels like a Tuesday. So
I can't even believe it's already the 20th. Like, what happened to January? I don't get it.
My birthday is Friday, so.
Your birthday?
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
One of the girls in my program just turned 21 yesterday.
Oh, I'm not going to be 21.
Yeah. She had her first closing. She's got something under agreement. Yeah, she's got something under agreement, and she's like a calling maniac, So she's really a lead generating type of person. She'll be teaching, don't you worry, someday. All right, I'm having a little trouble here. Here we go, I got it.
You should have it now. Yep.
I got it. All right, guys, so let's talk about exciting world of open houses, okay? Yeah, it's a little bit different now, but there's a lot of things that you can do slightly differently, but very much the same, that should enable you to have a successful open house. All right, let's make sure this is working good. All right, hold on. All right, so very same statement, literally every day. What successful agents do every day. We lead generate for buyers and sellers. So today's class is really going to focus on open houses and, why we do them. What's the purpose of them? We're going to go behind the scenes to see what's really, really involved in holding an open house. It isn't deciding on Sunday morning, I'm going to go do an open house, and driving over to someone's house and doing an open house. That can be done and a lot of people do that. But for you guys, building your business, you want to squeeze every drop of exposure out of that particular event. And that's what that's what we're going to delve into today a little bit. We want to make sure that you're incorporating open houses into your prospecting strategy to really generate business. You're not just standing around. There's a process, and we're going to go through that. So has anybody here done an open house or shadowed an open house for people? Just chime in.
I have.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, and how did you like the process? Was it a long planned out process, or was it something fairly quick?
I had my first one this past weekend, and it was very short term. I just got my license a couple weeks ago, and I was asked if I could handle it, and so I tried my best. But it was fun. It was good. It was like a trial by fire. It was 163 Glen in Somerville. It was like a renovated American Legion, super high ceilings.
Oh, cool.
A lot of it was affordable housing, but like gorgeous. And then the one upstairs was, standard, anybody could own it.
Awesome.
So, and there was no elevator. So I was not only by myself, but kind of managing 3 different places. So it gave me sure, it could have gone maybe, I could have obviously improved in certain spots, but it gave me tons of confidence going forward that
Awesome.
I can,
Awesome.
survive through that, then it'll only get better from there. So.
Running up and down the stairs. That's
Yeah.
always fun. So we'll talk about, I hope you guys have, going to be taking good notes on this, because obviously we're in a different time, and how we handle open houses directly that day on the ground can be a little bit different. Good question. Did you meet any new buyers or sellers on that day?
So I did. There were a couple of couples that, because it was going to go into a lottery, weren't guaranteed to get the place, and they were super interested. So that said to me, if they get it, great. If they don't get it, great, because then I can reach out to them after. So a couple, but not many.
All right. So that brings the question: do you hold open houses to sell the home, or to pick up buyers? Or sellers?
Depends on if it's your listing. If it's
Interesting, Matt.
if it's your listing, you obviously want to sell that home. But if you're covering a open house for someone as an agent, like, your goal is to find someone who's not working with an agent.
Mm-hmm. So let me
Like,
say.
if that home sells, great. But if it doesn't,
I think
Go ahead.
I think it's always in everybody's best interest, when you have a listing, to do as much prospecting as possible. It's like the biggest opportunity to sign on new clients. Whether or not
Absolutely.
you're covering or it's your listing, there's plenty of opportunity to prospect either the neighborhood, or when you're making the signs, getting your name out there. So I think it's a win-win for everybody. You
Absolutely.
definitely want to get the place sold, but your main objective, I would say, prospecting.
So the question was, do you hold open houses to sell the house, or to pick up buyers or sellers? I think everybody's right. It's both. It's all of the above. You're obviously trying to represent the house as best as possible. You obviously want to meet, and the goal in holding an open house is not only to sell it, it's to put yourself in the path of opportunity, right? Because people that come to open houses are both. They're buyers and sellers. So you want to be really, really careful to represent that home as best as you can, because people come and they're sellers, but they kind of pretend they're buyers. So there's a high level of sellers that come to an open house. They watch what you're doing. You're on an interview and you sort of don't know it. They want to see how you protect the home in terms of safety. They want to see what you're saying about the seller. So be very careful, and we'll go through some of these best practices for sure. Because you want to make sure that it's called getting yourself in front of the path of the opportunity, and that's really where we want to be. So what are the benefits of the open house, particularly for a newer person? What do you guys think? It can be very, open houses can be very rewarding and profitable. And the first gentleman, I know I didn't get the name, who said, I got a lot of confidence in doing that. I had to run around and kind of figure it out. And it's a really good confidence builder. What else is good? What are the other benefits of the open house?
Previewing the house itself for your future buyers.
Yep, so you're learning about the open house, the homes,
Homes.
learning about the product, as we say, remember the product, the process, and promotion. So what else is good? What are the other benefits?
I think
Oh,
I think like you said, it's good to network, to meet people, to meet buyers and sellers.
absolutely, getting in the path of opportunity, network. What is a good thing about, what is something as a new agent we're constantly worried about and might be a good point?
These would be more warm leads rather than cold. And we wouldn't have, we'd sort of lose some cold calling that I don't know how I'm trying to say what I'm saying, but they're warm leads versus cold. So.
Right, and we've got some stats on that. So first of all, it's inexpensive. It really doesn't cost you much to do an open house. Yes, of course, it's your time, but it's not like you have to put an ad here and pay for this and pay for that. Simply what you want to do is, if anything, you're going to print out some sheets, and again, it's different too with COVID, and we can talk about that. It's inexpensive, and it also has a high return on that investment with exposure, because you're out there, you're out in front of everybody, and you've been planning this for over a week, so you're really out there. And the point of you, what is our main job in real estate? What's that thing called? That's the main job in real estate?
Lead generating.
Yeah.
Lead generating, nurturing,
Relationship building.
relationship building. I like that. So this is one of the easiest ways to get, like Mary was saying, you're in front of somebody, nose to nose, toes to toes. So it's more of a warm lead. You're likely to get more, you get a lot of exposure and you get a lot of leads from just one listing. And it's a super productive way to meet buyers and sellers. And again, don't forget that the people coming through are highly likely to be sellers. And we'll talk about some scripts to move you forward on that. Put you more in contact with people, with being face-to-face. Open house is the way to go. So if you don't have any listings, how do you do open houses?
You volunteer to help another agent with theirs.
Yeah. And what else? How else do you get open houses? Right? Well, you ask. You're newer agents. Part of your job as a new agent, or even if you're not new, and you just back in Ignite for a refresh, you contact agents in your office and you call them up. This is part of lead generating too. You're nurturing your own internal relationships within your office. And you say, hey, I'd love to shadow you and see how you do. Of course, now open houses really should have 2 or 3 people, someone out front as with a clipboard and getting people's names and keeping everybody you can't let everybody running around in the house. Typically, you want to have first set of people coming through, let them go through and kind of go out the back door, let the new people in. So you really do need 2 people. So as newer agents, I would highly recommend pulling up your roster, go into your internal Facebook page and find somebody who's doing an open house and ask to shadow. Because the more you shadow, the more likely someone's going to call you and go, hey, I have an open house in 2 weeks. You want to do the open house for me. So you want to make sure you are building your relationships with listing agents in the office, and so that you're you're getting the opportunity, as opposed to sitting around waiting for a post that says, hey, I have an open house next week, I need coverage, and 47 people text that agent. So let's be proactive here to do what we can do to have. The key to an open house is having time ahead to prepare. and, you know, get your name out there for sure. What's another way? So that's it. You just got to you have to find them and go for it. And
Deb?
yes.
I just want to interject one other thought. It's also safety for the agent to have another agent with them.
Yeah, it's very, very good to have another party with you. And that all goes into the safety piece as we move forward, but absolutely, absolutely. All right, so we'll move along. Let's see what else we got here. So let's look at the open house prospecting model. Okay, open houses are prospecting activity meant to generate future business, not necessarily, yes, of course, we want to sell that home and present it as best as we can, but highly likely it's not your listing, you're going to be pulling in potential buyers. We want to make sure that we're going through these three models. Let me just move this over here. So when you do an open house, there's really three things. You want to prepare for this open house, you want to prospect for buyers and sellers, and then you want to pursue them after you get them. So it's a long game. It's not a quick Sunday afternoon deal. If you really want to do it, and you really want to do it at a high level, if you guys want to look on, I think KW Connect or somewhere, there's a nice little, it's a chart. It's called the 7-level open house. And it kind of gives a little bit more detail. I don't know if it's included in the package, but that might be a cool thing for you to pull out, and it kind of gives you some direction. So basically, yeah, we're going to set up for the open house to be successful. We're going to promote and host it, and then we're going to follow up and convert, right? That's our deal. We are going to be talking about cold calling and door knocking and the old do not call list. We always have that everywhere. You know, that's going to be a challenge. So let's talk about preparing this here. So we're going to prepare and set up for success. Once you have made the decision to host an open house, promotion should start about a week out. Okay, you want to set yourself up, at least give yourself a week or so. Okay, and this literally, now I think in your booklet, I don't know if you guys have printed it or if you have it, it does give some more specifics, but we can just take some notes, right? So first of all, let's select an open house that's a good location and time. You know, let's make sure that it's a good location and it's a good house. What do I mean by that? What do you guys think about that? Why do you want to have, go ahead.
Maybe like make sure it's a good location, house being like somewhere where it's going to have a lot of exposure, where there's a lot of potential for people to come in for that open house versus being nowhere.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on where you live in your area. Where I'm from, there is a lot of rural back roads out in the middle of nowhere. You know, is that the best option? I mean, we don't have a lot of inventory. So right now, if you have an opportunity to do an open house, you just say yes. And it's not that specific to location. And there's ways to still get yourself promoted, even though you're on a back road. Okay, so Monday, yeah, we're going to figure out what we're going to do. And then Tuesday, we're going to post it. You know, obviously we have several levels of posting our open house. We want to make sure, obviously, you go into MLS and you post your open house. We want to generate, what we really want to do is start working the neighborhood. We want to, you can, again, this is part of that 7-level. You can call all the neighbors, you know. You can door knock, and we'll talk about that late, you know, as we get closer to the week. So basically, you want to just make sure that at the starting point, it's on MLS, which is going to upload to everywhere, you know. It's into Zillow, I think. I'm not sure if that's going to continue, but, you know, you want to just make sure you get it online, of course. Also, you want to make sure that you're prepared yourself. If the house is not your listing, you want to make sure that the list agent or yourself has put up a little sign, open house rider on Saturday or Sunday. Most of the open houses we're seeing now are Saturday and Sunday to get the most exposure. I don't know what's happening in different market centers in different parts of the region. Could anybody speak to that a little bit? What are people doing mostly?
Saturday, Sundays looks like.
Yeah. Saturdays and Sundays, afternoons or mornings?
It's like 11 to 2, 11 to 1.
Yep. Do you think it's a good idea to have open houses when other people are doing them or off times?
I would say similar times. Maybe have them overlap. Maybe mine's 11 to 1 and someone else's is 12 to 2. That would be my thought.
Yeah, because
Okay.
people will bounce from one to one to one, I think, maybe.
Okay. What, any other thoughts?
Yeah, I think sometimes, this is Jennifer Markello from Cape Cod Islands.
Oh, cool.
Colonial Park.
Jennifer.
Hi. Hi. I think sometimes having it at off hours, you might draw more attraction because there's no competition. And
Mhm.
sometimes people are busy on the weekends doing things. So if you have it during the week, you might get a different
Yes.
crowd than you get on the weekend.
Absolutely. That's a fantastic point. And that can also be a little location driven. If you have a home near a school or near the library or near something, there's a function happening or church, definitely nose around and do, there's a lot of people do something called a commuter open house, which
Mhm.
is, more so in the summer. We don't want to do it in the dead of winter here at 6 o'clock, but you can do a commuter open house from 4 to 6 or 5 to 7 on a main road, and you can really get some business. Not only are you going to get business for that home, everybody's going to see your sign that says open house today. And that's the other point, getting those directionals. You know how, when I say the signs and the directionals, I'm talking those A-frame open house arrows with your picture and your phone number and your Keller Williams. Does everybody have those, or are they thinking about getting those?
What was it again?
Not yet, brand new.
Yeah, I would like to see, and this is just one man's opinion here, but I would like to see that be part of your budget as you move forward, get 1 or 2. And the reason why, those signs are extremely effective. And let's face it, nobody goes to a house by following a directional sign. Obviously, everybody's got nav and they know, those directional signs. And again, put them in a very busy part of the area where you're going. Put it right on the main road, right at the rotary, so that everybody's going to drive by and go, man, that Jennifer's busy. Wow, that Jennifer's doing another open house. It's name recognition and branding. So a lot of people, when they start, they borrow other people's open house signs, which is, I get it. It's a budget thing. And we have to be very tight with our money in the beginning, but really am a big proponent of those. Get some really nice ones because it's winter, it's New England, they get wiped out. So you want them to be fairly solid. So as a best practice going forward, think about looking at some pricing on those because it's just much more exposure for you. So what are
Karen,
some, go
Deb,
ahead.
Karen Urbino was asking in the chat, where's the best place to get them? I think you can go as quickly as heading into Home Depot and picking some up. Somebody also put buildasign.com. You can spend a little bit more money. As a man that writes like a serial killer, I got into the habit at the end of my years of production. I finally went and got a bunch of signs because I knew historically I was going to pick between a few different time slots. So whether it said Saturday or Sunday, 9 to 11, 11 to 1, whatever the case may be, I built them with stickers. They were just pre-made. I was using my Saturday 9 to 11 signs this week and I had those and I grabbed those.
Yeah.
And that made more sense. If you have great writing, if you used to work at a restaurant and they asked you to fill up the chalkboard, I was better off like cutting letters out of a magazine, leave money in log at end of road, So I wanted to finally build them so they were legible, so they look professional. And that might be an idea. So if you're thinking, oh my God, I don't want ones that I'm going to write on and then rewrite times and dates and stuff.
Yeah.
Because they sometimes get really messy looking too. That might be an additional expense you might want to take on just for the plug and play ability of it. And then you just sort of know this is when I do my open houses. I mean, you might, and to Deb's point and the commuter conversation about that twilight open house during the week, because you're trying to show off the fact that it's near an office. Like if you're in Dover, New Hampshire, and you have a great property near Liberty Mutual, I'm probably going to run it when everybody's 45 minutes away from the house they currently live in. and they
Yep.
want to live closer to work. Some people don't want to live closer to work. But we don't know who that person is that might be interested in the property. So just another thought on keeping them clean and keeping them, habitual, just ones that
Yeah.
you grab and use over and over again, and they stay,
Yeah.
they stay in good
Yeah.
shape.
And they're nice. And when you get home, take them out of your trunk and hang them somewhere, put them nice, because you're going to spend some money on them. You don't want them sliding around the back of your car, also, because someone were to hit you, it could, So Tim, do you have your photo on your sign? Big Tim face, phone number?
That was not going to be a selling point. So no, the last team that I had, it was myself and a teammate. It was our initials and our open house signs. We did not have our logos on them. We were doing the stickers and building them out. I have seen people, to somebody talking about build a sign, I have seen people that are doing them branded, and they've got, the sandwich board signs or ones that they can actually, drive into the yard. And I think if that's going to be something you're doing at a high level, because this could be the one thing for you, right? Open houses, if you go to page 71 and shift, this could be the thing that you do with every one of your listings that begets more listings.
Absolutely.
So if you're going to lean into these, I would, lean into the expense of getting these much nicer signs, because it just tells a story. These aren't things I use for part of my business. This is my business. The sign you
Right.
put in the sign you put in the house to sell the house. If you're using that same kind of material to do the open house, it just looks next level. And to Deb's point, where we are in New Hampshire, like directional arrows, if there's certain places by Bow Lake in my hometown of Stratford, New Hampshire, if you're on Route 4 in Concord, it's not that far away, but if there's not enough directional arrows, they're never going to find it, because not everybody does have nav, so
Right,
you've
that's
got,
true, yep.
you
Or
want to
can they
create
get
the
it?
opportunity where it's, we want to create an easy path, the easiest path of resistance to get them to the property. And lure
Exactly.
them in.
Yeah, so it's interesting to hear other, what everyone's doing. And I would check in your own market center, what is everybody else doing? But you're right, Tim, leaning into open houses. And on the 6 personal perspective, I don't know if we've gotten into that yet, but you have your E to P. Everybody has an entrepreneurial spirit. We want you to be purposeful with what you're doing. It's the old lemonade stand. You need a table. Yeah, I'm going to do a lemonade stand, but you still need a table and chairs and maybe another chair and a sign and lemonade and a cooler and ice and cup. You have to get your business set up. And I think this open house is a really good way to start. And I'm telling you, if you have signs everywhere and they're really nice looking, and you walk the neighborhood and introduce yourself, which we'll get to, and we'll do a little scripting on, that neighbor's going to go, man, that George does a good job. He was like so professional. His signs nice. If you walk into some house and the agent's on the phone and walking around, forget it. You have lost a listing. And as newer agents, I want you guys to go on every Wednesday or Thursday and do a search of what open houses are coming up in your area, and you go to them. Just get out of the way. Don't be in the way of any clients or customer or anybody that the agent who's hosting the open house. Identify yourselves that, hey, I'm Jennifer, I'm with Keller Williams, I'm just here to preview, and, get out of the way. So, and preview the house, because as you move forward as a listing agent, and we're all about listings, you want to make sure that you know every piece of inventory in your town. You should be able to know that house on 59 Pine Street has a beautiful kitchen and, nice backyard, but the side drops off. And it's, you need to know these things, A, for when you're working with buyers, and B, when you're doing market analysis for another client. You want to be able to say, I've been in that house. It smells lovely. That house needed, the basement is, you need to speak to. So this open house thing, yes, doing them, but as a side note, make sure you're going to them. You're a real estate agent. That's your job. You need to know every piece of inventory in your town. And I can't imagine there's that much inventory. Again, stay out of the way of the hosting, just say hi, let them know who you are. And obviously, don't be trying to scoop people out in the driveway and say, hey, I'm an agent, I can help you. Let's just be professional. So that's, and the other thing you want to do too, and we'll get to this piece, is On the day before the open house, this comes into that 7-level open houses. The day before the open house, you might want to walk the neighborhood and have a flyer and invite people to the open house. And we can script on that a little bit. It's sort of like, hey, you knock on the door, just wanted to let you know, I've listed 21 June Street, Marine Cliff. Don't know if you know them. I'm having an open house Sunday from 1 to 4, but I'm inviting all the neighbors to come by as a preview at noon. Love to have you come by. I really want to understand the neighborhood and tell me a little bit about it. Why do you like it here? If you know, and then you can have some conversation. So come on in. I'll be there from 12 to 1 if you just want to pop through. Hey, now you've got your neighbors that are just looking around and being nosy in and out of the way. You're also having an opportunity to show them what a great job you're doing for your client. You're taking that next step and leaning in and inviting people to the open house. And you can always say, look, we are expecting a lot of people. I apologize in advance if anybody pulls into your driveway and backs out, and sometimes it's a little chaotic. And if anything is awry, here's my card and give me a call. So you're coming from caring and contribution to them that, hey, it's going to be nuts. I don't know, our area, if we have an open house, there's a lot of people that come. It's a traffic jam. It's very crazy. So letting the neighbors know. And obviously, if they come between 12 and 1, now you have time to really talk to them and start building a relationship. And I guarantee there'll be one neighbor that comes that knows everything about the neighborhood and very well may know what's going on in somebody else that might be moving. Any questions on that?
I have a question about, this is Jennifer again. I have a question about shadowing at open houses. I've heard mixed, if you could give me advice on how to talk to the other agent that I might be shadowing about, I've heard mixed things about any leads or contacts that I could potentially get at someone else's open house. How does that work? And do you have any advice do you follow what I'm saying? Okay.
I know what you're saying.
One thing that, if you do an open house with somebody, the leads could be yours, but then I've also heard that's not the case, that the agent that you're doing it for will expect those to be their leads.
Right, and that's a very good question, Jennifer. That is something that you ask. You say, hey, Andrew, I'd like to shadow your open house this Sunday, and what is your policy? Will I get any of the leads? Do you get any of the leads? How does it work? And that listing agent should have their policy and procedures in. It really depends on the individual and what their life is and what their world is all about. If they want to, you can have all the buyers, you can have everybody. They might say, hey, let's split them. Let's kind of work them together. They might say, nope, you're just here to learn. You're shadowing, that's it. And that's that. So it's really like anything in life. It's just asking the question and getting those answers. Somebody had a comment. Okay, does that make sense?
I have one more question about that.
Yep.
When you're inviting those neighbors over, are you inviting them before your open house starts? Are you saying, hey, I'm gonna do a neighbors only from 12 to 1 and then your actual open house time starts? I know some people have talked about doing like a private open house for the neighbors from 12 to 1 and then doing just open to the public from 1 to 2, or how do you break that down?
Well, it's your call, and it's this. I typically, what I see, and I think it's most effective, and anybody else can chime in. I think it's nice to invite the neighbors ahead. That way, and you can sort of, when you're knocking on their doors, you should have a flyer. And what a lot of people do is simply just take the listing sheet and then fold, and make like a little invitation. Hey, I just want to give you a listing sheet on 21 June. I'm having an open house tomorrow afternoon, but I'd love for you to come in. I'm doing private showings for the neighbors from 12 to 1. And I think that can be very effective because then the neighbor, it's just, you have a little bit more control. The neighbors might just, as we said earlier, might just be looking and being kind of nosy or curious about the house. But very often, as we've said, they're looking to sell, maybe not for 2 years or 5 years, but at some point you are having that neighbor right in front of you in the kitchen. And now it will be able to nurture that relationship. If you've got a lot of buyers coming and going and a lot of people from 1 to 3, you're not going to be able to really nurture that seller. And ultimately, and that seller too, by the way, that neighbor might know somebody who wants to move into that neighborhood. Very often that is the case. Does that answer that question?
Deb, I was gonna, real quick for Jennifer Markello, I was gonna recommend, this is what I tell our agents to do when you're getting started, is if you have a private Facebook page for your market center, I would get on and say, does anybody have an open house that I can shadow? So I can learn your standard, important word. So I can learn your standard, so I can host one for you in the future.
Okay.
Because you'll hear a lot of veteran agents talk about page 71 and shift, and they espouse that they do a 7th level open house. Then you get there and they do like a 2.8 if the Russian judge is in a good mood.
Yeah.
It's not, yeah, it usually isn't what they said it was going to be. So for them to hold you to a 7th level open house when they've only heard about it, or maybe flip past page 71 and shift, I just want to go find out what their standard is. Then back to the whole, who gets the leads. I think if you're hosting it for them in the future by yourself, more often than not, they're going to allow you to probably capture the leads. Everyone's conversation is different. Get that clarity, as Deb said, whether sometimes if you're newer, they're like, well, you can grab the buyers. I'm going to take any potential listings. And to Maddie's question about having the neighborhood in first, I've always said that's a great idea. I think that 60 minutes for the private event for the future clients, you're probably holding an open house in a neighborhood you want to be mayor of. So you want to create that FOMO effect for when the general public shows up. They were like, I thought this was 12 to 1. What's going on? Then you can politely explain, oh, I do something privately for the people in the neighborhood ahead of time. And you can seasonalize it too. If it's going to be around Easter or Passover, I'm going to put an egg, like obviously hidden, like you're doing an Easter egg hunt for a 4-year-old, obviously hidden with their address written on the egg with a little prize, something inside that they can come back and maybe be part of a game back at the kitchen table. But just to get them to explore the house, they're not going through people's sock drawers. They're going to find the egg. It's like in the middle of a dining room table, but it's got their address on it. And to Deb's point too, making sure you do knock all the doors. Now, I could easily fall in the nerf sword of, I live in Stratford. There's 9 miles in between each house.
Yeah, I know.
Story, right?
Yeah.
And I also probably want to still do the hustle, because the important thing is, if I knock on Jennifer's door, then Mary's door, then Ann's door, then Michelle's door, and Maddie's door, and they're all like, yeah, cool, maybe we'll see you there. But then I talk to Deb. Guess what Deb is? She's the straw in the drink of the neighborhood. If I get her to go, she's the connective tissue that will drag everybody else.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, Deb's going. It's going to be cool. Like there's always that driver in the neighborhood that's going to get everybody else to go. If I can get everybody there, to Deb's point, everyone in the neighborhood is experiencing you, and they're subconsciously interviewing for 3, 4, 5 years out. And if you're really good at this, you're going to be back. And the next time you knock on my door, hi, Mr. Lindsay. Now I've got 123 listed. Hi, Mr. Lindsay. 6 months later, now I've got 126 listed. I'm politely telling you, if you don't choose me in 2 years when you list your house, you might be stupid. I mean, you don't say that. It's an internal monologue, but you're just reminding them, I'm going to be here for the rest of, I'm like moss on the north side of a tree. I'll be back, right?
Right.
So,
and you are developing a very good sphere or a very good farm that Halloween, you can run around and drop off little pumpkins. And, you know, it's, you are going to be their person, and it can start with one open house that you're hosting for somebody, even if you get no leads from if the agent wants some or whatever, you are still learning your craft and developing and leaning into your open house plan, which they can be extremely effective. And all of these things are all part of the prepare section, you know, and yeah, so a couple of interesting facts here. So yeah, we know preparation is like the thing. We want to figure out location. Again, location, like Tim says, and I'm over in Pepperell, where there are 5 miles between each house, you know, and there's not a lot of little condensed neighborhoods. There's certainly some, but not a lot. If you're doing an open house way out in the middle of nowhere, your sign with your face on it should be on the main road, at least pointing roughly in the right direction of where your house is. Time-wise, I sort of go both ways. I agree with everyone's comment. earlier. I think it's good to do them while everybody else has got their Dunkin' Donuts and their Starbucks and off they go to look at open houses. But doing it in an off time, either earlier than everybody else, can be good too. Then you've got all the people first. There aren't a lot of listings right now. Buyers, unfortunately, are getting pushed around quite a bit. If you say it's at 9 a.m., they'll get there at 9 a.m. because they can't, that's maybe the only way they can get in to see the house. Obviously, we want to look at traffic patterns if you're near the school or something that's happening. Not much is happening now, but you know what I mean. Be in the know of your town and in the different locations that you have opportunities to do open houses. What's happening? And I love Tim's idea about make it fun. You know, we've had a lot of agents have these cute ideas. And again, with COVID, I don't know, they have little clipboards that the people get when they walk around with a little questionnaire, name, email, you know, what do you like about the house? What do you don't? What do you think about the price? And what's your favorite ice cream? I don't know, or something. Who's your favorite, you know, football player? That way it's a little fun for them. They're kind of walking around, it eases the thing. And then you can collect all those at the end and hopefully you have some information, but what you do potentially have some good feedback for your seller or for the listing agent. Say, hey, everybody thinks the house is awesome. 3 people mentioned that really strong yellow color or that green color in the kid's bedroom. We might want to address that, remember, you know, so it can be a very good tool. So what are some other tools that are kind of cool? First of all, 50% of people, this is some stats coming from NRA, I think, over 50% of people who stopped at an open house do so by impulse. Does everybody agree with that? 50% of them come by impulse. What do you guys think?
I think that makes sense. They're probably driving around and they're like, oh, there's an open house. We're not doing anything. Let's go check it out. Let's see what the neighbor's getting for their house.
Yeah, I think, anybody else?
Well, I know my mom is the queen of like open house stalking. She loves to like drive around to new places and be like, oh, let's pop in. So I know that those people exist out there, but I mean, it's also not a bad thing because even though she's not in the market and won't be buying a house, you know, she might know someone who does.
Yeah, I mean, now it's a little like something to do. Let's go to open houses, you know. But yeah, I do think it's probably a solid 50. I don't know. I think it's a little more people are organized and going. And that's really a reflection of the market in the inventory being a little bit lower. I think people, and it's harder to get into houses because we do have restrictions of number of people that can get in and so forth. But I think in general, yeah, impulse, people just whip in and go, ooh, let's go look at that house. Sometimes that is the very first time they put their little toe in the water. Oh, there's a couple cars, let's just go in. If there's no cars, they may not go in. So the other thing you might want to do when you have an open house, there's a psychological thing. If there's no one coming and going, people won't pull in. But if they do see people coming and going, they're more likely to pull in because people, again, it's sometimes their first move of, okay, let's start thinking about buying a house. And if they see other people there, it's a little security blanket. Oh, they can't get us because there's other people. People have some fear that real estate agents are going to be super aggressive, which I think really for the most part, most are not super aggressive. So just something, if you have an open house a little flat, call some people and say, come on over to my open house. You know, obviously when you're doing an open house, you want to make sure everybody in your database knows that you're having an open house is all about the prep, right? So let's talk, any questions? Where are we right now? Any questions? All right, so door knocking, does everybody feel that's a good idea to do prior to an open house? I mean, it says it here, but do you think that's wise?
Yes.
All right, so let's do a little role model door knocking. And who wants to be a homeowner and I'm knocking on their door?
I'll be it. I'll do it.
All right, good. So who am I?
Jennifer Markello.
Oh, hey, Jennifer. So I'm doing a house in your neighborhood and I'm coming walking around your neighborhood and I'm gonna go knock, knock, knock.
Hello.
Oh, hey there. My name is Deb Hayes. I'm with Keller Williams over in Westford. Just wanted to let you know I'm doing an open house over on 21 June Street. And just wanted to let you know I'm doing the open house for the public
Sure.
from 1 to 3. But I'd love to see you come by if you want. I'm having a private open house really for previewing for the neighbors. You
Oh.
around tomorrow?
Oh yeah, that'd be great. I'll definitely stop by.
All right, cool. Yeah, I'm not really familiar with the neighborhood as much as I'd like to. Do you like it here? Tell me something that I can share with the potential buyers that come through.
Oh yeah, I like it a lot. The neighbors are really nice. They have lots of families get together for get-togethers in the summertime, and there are a lot of kids in the neighborhood who are you see them playing around the neighborhood a lot. So it's a really family-friendly neighborhood.
Oh, that's nice. Have you been here a long time?
About 3 years.
Oh, wow. And was this your first house or you've been?
No, it's my second house. Yep, we
Oh,
upgraded
cool.
when we moved here.
Nice. Now, if you were to move, would you move into the neighborhood like this or?
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
Yeah, are you having any thoughts? No, I'm getting into too much at the door here. But anyway, so what I would just round it out to say here is a flyer for the open house tomorrow. Come on in. And again, back to Tim's thing, if you're going to do something kind of cute, you can run a little contest or something. So what do you guys think about that? I'm open to opportunity for growth.
I have a thought. I was just wondering, since it's kind of like, I don't know, during Corona right now, would you not recommend actually door knocking at the moment? Like, is an alternative to that maybe dropping off flyers at all the neighbors' houses?
What does everybody think? That's a very, very good question. How do we proceed on that one, guys?
That's what I was wondering, because with the cases being as they are, I'm sure a lot of people are very nervous about exposure to people that they don't know who aren't part of their pod. I think it's tough for us because we're trying to get the word out, but safety comes first. You're not going to collect on that deal if you don't make it to the end.
Right. What does everybody else think?
I might knock and then step back off the steps.
Yep.
And or even even leave my flyer and like whatever little goodie I might want to bring on the steps so they can reach down and pick it up and look at it while we're chatting. But I'd be further away.
Yep. I think, again, this is something you talk to your market center about and what is the policy and what's the best thing to do. I have people that are door knocking and they're very good about it. They have a little bag and they, or they put it right there. Hey, but it's a tough call. We're in Ignite. Yes, we're in COVID, but let's hope that it will go away at some point. So you still need to learn this door knocking model.
Yeah.
And practice it. What do you think, Tim? What's your policy up there?
Yeah, we don't necessarily have an office-wide policy. We just tell people if you feel uncomfortable doing it and you're showing up in a hazmat suit with a beekeeper's helmet, like you're probably you're creating a little bit of, I shouldn't even say creating false excitement, but you're making them feel like, God, should I even be answering the door?
Yeah.
So your level of comfort in doing this activity, I just agree with keeping the distance. If you're going to be outside, I wouldn't even lower my mask to have the conversation unless you're completely unintelligible, and have something of value that you can leave. If you're comfortable, I'm happy to leave this. There's probably some sort of something near their front door that you can put it under and then step away and they can grab it later. So you're not even getting close enough to hand them the paperwork. And I think the way to round out the conversation when we were door knocking around an open house, inviting people, not sure if you know the Lindsays, they've made some changes to the house. We'd love to have you by. And, we're going to have a lot of buyers here this coming weekend. And the Lindsays have certainly shared with us why they love the neighborhood. If you don't mind me asking before I go, a couple of questions, and the answer might be the same for both. Why did you move here? And why have you stayed? Right? Because they might have moved in for the school system and stayed for the association, or who knows what the case may be. And then I'm just going to take that quick note, because the next time I knock on the Lindsay's door, as I wrap up, I'm going to say, Mr. Lindsay, last time I spoke to you, you said you moved in for the association and you stayed for the school system. Has that changed?
Mhm.
And you mentioned that you're going to be moving in 3 years. That was a year ago. Is there been any change around that conversation? Because every time they shut the door, they're like, he's always here. Pain in the ass. He's always here, and he seems to remember every I don't remember anything. Like, I forgot what I had for breakfast, and that was 20 minutes ago, right? But I took great notes, so I can go back into those notes. Because if I'm going to dominate a neighborhood, it's not too much of a heavy lift for me to take great notes with the conversations I'm having with the people on this street. You know, you can
Absolutely.
absolutely build your business hyper local by taking one street at a time. And if you're having great conversations and making these people feel heard and cared for by asking those questions before you part company, it's going to be effective over time. You want to be the
Absolutely.
realtor they know, that knows them.
Yeah. And that's what we're all about. We're meeting people and we're building these relationships and we're nurturing them. And yes, we have a fantastic tool that every time we do anything, we can keep notes in. And it's always there. And yeah, it is difficult to remember anything. And as you really get really busy and you've got 10 listings and 50 buyers and you're running around crazy, you are going to have to, that muscle memory of keeping notes and really remembering and putting systems in place is really it's really going to help you. So yeah, I mean, hopefully I don't know when, but this COVID will be over and we will be back on the ground. Boots on the ground, as they say. So I have to move this. So basically, the other thing too, in terms of now
Mary has her hand up. She had a question, I think.
Who?
Mary?
Oh, yes, hi, and I'll try to be quick. Just regarding the door knocking, I actually had very good luck with it, prior to the pandemic. And the first time that I did it at length, I was helping my buyer purchase in a town that I was not familiar with. And I would just go down and knock on doors. The weather was good. It happened to be kind of early, late spring. People were beginning to be out in the yard. There were people who invited me into their home. Understandably, at the beginning of the pandemic, things changed a little bit. And even in my own neighborhood, and this was just about almost a year ago, it was March, and some people were quite receptive. I typically talk to them out in their yards. But another, I have to say, there was a man in the neighborhood, I hadn't met him before, and his language was not nice, and he asked me to leave, and he didn't abbreviate anything. So anyway, that was quite an experience. But one thing I did recently, and this might be helpful to my fellow agents, I was selling a home, and it was actually a relative's home, an elderly relative. The family had asked me to sell it, and she had moved to assisted living. And I knew from her that she had wonderful, wonderful neighbors who were very, very helpful to her. She could call if she needed help. And I was able to get their names and addresses. And what I did, I wrote to them and I told them I wanted to have, and I was sincere, an open house, similar to what you've been describing, Deb, for a half hour before the regular open house. And I said it was to meet them, because some of them I hadn't met, and to thank them. And it really was for that. And they came, and actually it worked quite well. And some of their young children were particularly kind to this relative. So I invited the children too, and we were careful. So that might be an idea in the face of a pandemic, to send an actual handwritten note. This private open house is for you Saturday. I hope you can stop by. So I just throw it out there, and that worked.
Yeah, this is why it's all about preparing and prospecting, so that you do have activity and you're getting yourself out there. And that sounds, Mary, like a really nice piece that you did. And people don't care what you know until they know that you care. That's one of my I love that thing. It's not new, but so Andrew had a question. He raised his hand.
Yeah, I was just wondering, when you do go door knocking, you should probably have some sort of logo or a hat, Keller Williams hat or something, because if you just have a mask on, you approach them, you don't have any identifying thing, people may not answer the door.
Right. People may not anyways, but yeah, you want your badge on. At our office, we have Keller Williams badges. I mean, thingies, masks. So you might want to get yourself one of those. Yeah, be careful. And to Mary's point, the other thing, you certainly could mail a letter to them. Hey, with the listing, hey, I'm having an open house. Preview, neighbors only at noon. Hope to see you. Come on by, and so marinate on these things. Talk it out. Think about it. Think about your plans. And to Tim's point, make that your way. That is your system. You don't need to create a whole thing. That's what you do. Here's your signs. They're in the garage, hanging right there. They're not sliding around the back of your car, because I'm telling you, they get ruined. And at some point they'll get wiped out by a plow. So definitely think about that, budgeting for that. And the more of those signs that are out there, the more people are going to see your face, and the more people are going to just, oh my God, he is busy. And even if you do one open house, they're still going to think you're busy if they see it repeated, even if it's the same house. So,
Deb?
Yes.
Cynthia has a question. If they don't open the door, where do they leave them? Flyers?
It's the same thing. Can you sort of slide it in the door? Can you smush it in the storm door? Can you put it under? You just have to do your best. We don't want to leave trash all over the place, but just do your best.
Yeah. The other thing to add to that is to just make sure that if you're in an association, you have permission to be there. If there are any homeowners regulations, right? Some towns actually require you to have a solicitor's permit just to even go door to door. I know in the small town that I live in, if anyone is door knocking, like, everybody will call the police. And so it's probably better if the police know that you're here, right? And then they can say to them, like, yeah, she called and she told us that she was doing this today.
Right.
So, just being aware of that, depending on the area that you're in, and you might want to check with your market center to find out if they know specifics about certain neighborhoods or streets. So just want to make sure, because this is a regional class, that we are covering ourselves, right?
Absolutely. We don't want to get in trouble, and we don't want to go to real estate jail.
No.
I know, Erin, in the Ignite Facebook page, you put that link in of what you can put in mailboxes and so forth. So you guys might want to look for that, because that's kind of was a handy thing to have.
Yeah, well, I didn't know about, like, the flyers. So you're not really actually even supposed to attach a flyer to a mailbox.
Yeah.
But you can put it through a mail slot, right? So, like, there's a lot of rules around that. So, certainly it's not exhaustive what we have there, but you want to do your research so you don't get in trouble.
Right.
So.
We don't want anybody getting in trouble.
Yeah.
All right. So next thing we want to talk about. So we're prospecting. So we've already prepared. We're super organized. We know what we're going to do. We know when we're going to do it. We know what time. We've got our signs. We've got our flyer. We're all ready to rock and roll. Now we're going to really start prospecting, right? And prospecting, the easiest way to prospect is to get out there on social media. So I don't know if, this slide right here is talking about command and campaigns. So you want to make sure that you or your tech trainer or somebody you need to make sure you know how to do campaigns so you can spread the word out there. You can do paid advertised campaigns for $30 or $20 almost. And you can identify with some keywords. So make sure that you're taking your training within your market center to understand campaigns, so that you're pushing yourself in that home out there for, the open house, for event awareness. You want to you can attract listings, you can attract buyers, brand awareness. There's lots of different directions that you can go in. Or you could simply ask somebody else in your office, what's the best campaign to do to get people to come to open houses? And hopefully somebody will share that with you. You can go into Command up into the library and pull lots of things. So don't get in the weeds about it. Find one, get it out there, and then keep a really good eye on it, because if you put an ad out there, a paid ad, those clicks, when somebody clicks learn more, that name is going to get routed right into your lead pool in your command. So if you put an ad out there, you have your eyeballs on that little red bell notification, so when you have somebody that's clicked on it, you can get right into that. So getting the word out about your open houses, it's, this is certainly an easy way to do it. Again, it starts with MLS, get that out there. I know you just want to get it out there. It goes without saying. So find your systems and make sure that you're doing that. So in prospecting as well, in preparation here, we're going to promote it. So the prospect stage is all about hosting the open house and capturing the leads, right? And there are, yes, you want to offer to shadow so you can learn, as Tim said, what are the standards? What are the standards that other agents are using? And what do you want to build into your business so you're doing a highly successful open house, right? So let's go through some of the sort of the actual things that you're going to go during when you're there. Again, with COVID, we do have some issues. In our area, we typically have one agent outside with a clipboard and getting names and emails and phone numbers. And it's really more to just hold everybody off for a minute so that you can't everybody should just come and go and do whatever, but now you have to control it. Have somebody in the house, welcome, greet everybody when they walk in the door. If they haven't signed in outside, we sign in inside. Some people don't want to touch pens, all of that kind of stuff. If you cannot do anything, get their cell number and say, I'm going to send you my mobile app and you can look around, and that way you can get their phone number. And so that's a little bit of a challenge right now, but COVID will be over, I predict. And at some point you have to figure out what your system is going to be. You always, always, always want to capture their information for follow-up. You want to find out if they're working with an agent. And obviously a best practice is to later let that agent know, hey, your clients came by my open house at 21 Main Street and they seem like they liked it, and that agent can follow up. So it's a good piece of the puzzle. So yeah, we want to greet everybody when they come through, have them sign in, and we want to take advantage of that one-on-one personal time, right? Obviously, we have something in Command called Neighborhood Snapshots. So you can, kind of pull that up and have that at the ready. I like to, and most agents do, have their computer open with MLS open. I don't know what anybody thinks about that, because somebody may not even, what is the likelihood that that person is really going to buy that house? If 20 people come through, only one person can buy that house. And if they say, gee, I like it, but we really need another bedroom, then you can whip right on and go, hey, what about that one over here? Let's see if there's an open house today. How about I show it to you later? So these are all the things that we want to ask. So what are some probing questions that we want to ask when we have people coming through? What's some good questions? Let's mastermind on that a little.
Have you been pre-approved?
Ooh, okay. What else?
Is this your first home that you're looking to purchase? Are you renting? Where are you coming from? Are you local to the neighborhood? Are you from the area?
Okay.
Do you have kids? How many people?
We now this is got to be careful with some fair housing questions, guys, right? Anybody have any thoughts on that? Can we ask if they have kids?
No.
Are you buying the house for yourself or with somebody else?
Yeah.
Can we ask if with a real estate agent?
You can ask kids, but you can ask about love,
How many loved ones are moving with you?
loved ones, I was gonna say.
Or if they want to be in a certain school district.
Ooh.
Do they have a house to sell?
What's your time frame?
Ooh, like that. All good. How many loved ones? I like that.
You can ask them if that's the specific neighborhood they want to be in, where you met them at the open house.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have an agent?
Yeah, that's a really good one. Hopefully you get that out front in the clipboard. And sometimes people say they just know Tim, but they've never met him, but they're going to write down Tim, right? How do we handle that? What do we do when they say, no, I'm working with Tim Lindsay?
You
Oh,
forward
great. Ask
the
for her
information to the real estate, the one who is listing the house.
Right, right. So probing question, go ahead,
I just didn't hear what was said,
regarding
what Andrew said.
what, repeat.
You forward the listings to the person who's actually listing the house on MLS.
So do you mean if somebody says they sign in and they say, I'm a buyer and I'm working with Tim Lindsay, do you pursue them and put them in your database? What does everybody think about that?
Yeah, I would say, oh, fantastic. Give me Tim's contact information so I can follow up with him and give you the information through Tim. That does two things.
Perfect.
It puts me in the
Forward
data,
the
puts them in the
information.
database and verifies that they're not BSing me.
It's a tricky one. You have to be careful with open houses for sure when other people are identifying that they're working. In most people, they're really working with somebody. They're working with someone, you know. So that's. But these probing questions, we definitely want to be careful with. You know, that's a tough one. That's fair housing, and I hope everyone is attending their fair housing training within their market center to know the right things to say and what not to say. And what's really the most thing we want to do too? What's that? What's my favorite thing that we have to do as real estate agents?
Lead generate.
No. Well, yeah. You want to listen. Pardon me?
Disclose.
Yeah. What I'm saying is if you're walking around and people are chatting, listen. Listen to what they're saying. Listen to people, right? The old listening. So yeah, let's be careful. You can, you know, you have to get to know your guest and determine what, you know, are they interested in the property? You're there as an open house. Does this home work for you? You know, because remember, you're there as the open house for this particular listing. And if you start pushing them into some other direction, they might be a seller and they're going to say, that lady didn't care at all about that house. I don't want to work with her. So you want to find out if they're interested in the property or what other properties, what are they looking for? And certainly you want to find out, you know, where are you in the process? Have you spoken with a lender? You know, that's always a good one. You know, because you don't know what level people are when they walk in that door. Everybody, you know, everybody's standing at that big ladder on the diving board, and they might just be not even on the ladder yet, holding on to that, you know, that handle before they go all the way up and jump off and basically get on that handle again. And that's that whole rhythm of real estate. So yeah, let's be, you know, so what do we do? How do we identify when they tell us what they're doing? Do we qualify them? I mean, do we, how do we keep track of them? What do we do if we find out somebody is like, they're a buyer, they're going to buy something, they're ready to go? What do we do with them then?
We put them in the system.
Absolutely. We get them in the system. We determine if there's like a couple of categories, and you might want to start with your tagging of your contacts. I'm sure, is everybody tagging their contacts at this point? Yeah. So you
And
might
Becky's
want
got her hand raised. Becky's got a question.
Becky.
Sorry, I was trying to unmute myself. So two things. One, I probably worked about 5 open houses now with other agents, shadowing other agents. And since the first of the year, they've been crazy busy down here. I'm on the South Shore in Massachusetts.
I bet.
And so one of the agents I worked with this past weekend did, which I thought was a really great idea, is she set up a QR code and hooked it to a Google Docs. And so while people were waiting, because we had a line going, because we could only let so many parties in, obviously.
Yeah.
We had one of us was going through with the QR code and letting people just scan it right on their phone and signed in. And then we asked a few questions on that Google Doc. So there was other questions that we asked, like, what did you think about the house? You know, so if we didn't have a chance to speak to each person individually, we got some of those answers. And I thought that was a great idea.
Wow, that's a great idea.
And then one of the question I had was, so we got a few leads of people that didn't have agents.
Yeah.
I called them all and haven't received calls back. How often, how much do you follow up afterwards? Because I was going to try and message them again today, but I didn't know how, what, is there a structure? Is there something that works best for that?
Excellent question. Glad to hear that you're doing 5 open houses and really learning your craft. That's great. That's a personal decision. In terms of follow-up, you have to figure that out, unfortunately. We can mastermind on that a little bit. First of all, you definitely want to put together potentially a SMART plan. Some agents will literally call that person every day for a week. Every single day for a week. Some people don't want to do that. What does everybody think? What is the best practice on everybody's opinion? Let's see what everybody thinks. Anybody have any comment on that? She's picked up a couple of good buyers. I'm assuming you've put them into your database, correct?
Yes, and I called them, like I said, I haven't received any information back. I was going to send them a text message today. 2 of them are cell phone numbers, just because some people only respond via text, so.
Absolutely. Do you have any SMART plans in play?
I do.
And did you put them on the SMART plan?
Yeah, but I don't know that I put them on the right one. That's the thing.
So yeah, this is the other thing, guys. Get into that library, find 5 or 6 SMART plans that you like and just use them. Find them. You can do a search for open house follow-up. If you go into the library, there's a filter and you can search several different ways. And you want to find lead follow-up SMART plans, open house follow-up SMART plans. So what you'll want, it's like an app store. You can just pick the one you want. Of course, you want to take it, put it in your system, and you can edit it from there, because you might have an open house SMART plan that was created down in Florida or California, and they often speak about weather and it's lovely. We don't do weather commentary in our SMART plans. So find some that you like. And when you look at them, you can view them and you can see how many steps they have, and you determine what is going to work for you. If somebody's let me ask you a question, put you on the spot. You met them at the open house. When did you follow up? When was your first call to them?
That afternoon.
You called them that night, or?
Yes.
Right. And what was your script? Oh, they didn't answer.
They didn't answer. I used one of the scripts from the open house script we had, follow up on the open house. I'm trying to remember where it is, but basically that was the script I was going for, but then of course I got a message. So I just said that I had met them earlier at the open house. I was interested in, helping them with any of their real estate needs, whether they're interested in buying, selling, or investing, because it was a potential investment property we were at. And I would love to talk with them further. Here's my number.
Yeah. Well, it's all about the follow-up. Yes, we prepare for a week and we prepare, we prospect, we get people. Now we have to follow up with them. And that's in the next pursue section. So ask, what are the best practice? Obviously it's a balance. You don't want to be so follow up, so pushy that they are not, they're just not going to like you. But again, if you don't follow up, they're not going to care about you. So you have to figure that piece out. I recommend, and I think we hear most of the time, after you meet people at an open house, you're there from 1 to 3, you should call them all that night, whether it's a text that says, hey, I met you today at, 123 Main Street. Do you have any questions on that house or any other houses you might have been looking at today? One of the probing questions can be, I know you're at my open house, you're going to any other open houses, you're going to the one over there, because you're going to know if there's other open houses. Are you going to that one over there? So oftentimes, if they're looking at a lot of property that night, they might have blended together in the consumer's head. And you can offer, hey, how did you like that house over there? And how did it compare to mine? So you're probing. And they don't remember who you are a little, kind of, because they've seen several different agents. But if you say, hey, how can I help you? Do you need me to get your plot plan or a seller's disclosure on, even if it's not your listing, you're getting a buyer. So yeah, follow up. It's all about follow up for sure. They're talking a lot about the neighborhood, hold on, I can't see. Oops. Where am I going? Capturing the lead and creating these neighborhood landing pages. How are you guys doing with neighborhood snaps? Are people using those or not?
Yep.
Yep. Who said yes?
I said yes.
Because sometimes, I don't know if it's because I'm a little more rural, sometimes the neighborhood it's not working as well. So I'm glad to hear people are using them for sure.
Yeah, I think it depends on where you are, Deb. I think the more highly populated areas, the data is better.
Yeah.
So that's definitely something to be aware of before you share them with people is look at it and make sure it makes sense, right? I think Tim and I were looking at a couple yesterday and we were like, oh, these are really weird for certain towns. There's just not enough data. It's not pulling enough. If you're in a more, I think the more populated areas that have true neighborhoods, the data is a little bit better. So.
Yeah, I think we as agents are populating those neighborhoods within
Yes.
Command.
Yep.
So we're not using them, so they're not getting populated. And, in my area is pretty rural, we don't have, so that's a bit of a challenge. So, you just have to, and again, Command is an ever evolving, getting better every minute kind of a thing. It's 100 times better than it was in March. I think we can all agree, yes, it's quirky and it has some things, but, get into it and make sure you're finding things that are going to work for you in your business. So here's some of the good old, what do we do prospecting? Here's some of the rules about when you're actually doing your open house. And we talked about safety earlier. Let's make sure we kind of go through this. And does anybody want to take a break in a little bit? Yeah, why don't we go through this a little bit and then we can take a break. So basically, here's some of the tried and true safety things. Park on the street. What is, that's not always possible, but certainly that's so that you're not sort of trapped in the driveway and somebody's behind you and you can't escape. I don't know. Obviously, you want to meet the neighbors. That's always nice so that they know you're there. And we learn this. I don't know, we learned this in our market center, never sort of walk in front of a client or any prospect, let them walk in front of you. And I'm not big on going down in the basement with people. Sometimes I just say, hey, go ahead down. Let me know if you have any questions.
It puts the lotion on. Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
No.
So, have your, have your wits about you a little bit. Remember, everybody is super nice and they're cool, but you don't know who isn't. So let's be very careful with that. And the more open houses you do and the more you're with clients, somebody had said very early in the program, you might want to, right now we do always have somebody with us, but if you're in an area that's a little bit, more congested or there's a lot of people and you don't know who's who, definitely have somebody shadow with you. And so you're not there alone. We have people that have sort of this line that they'll use. Oh, we've got the guy coming to look at the roof. Somebody might come to an open house and you're literally there by yourself and it's somebody, you want to make it sound like somebody's coming, like a big person, like somebody's coming to look at the foundation, or somebody's coming to take a look at a tree, or meaning somebody's coming and you're not just sitting there by yourself and no one's ever coming. So you might want to use that. Obviously, it sounds a little scary, but let's make sure we have our way out of the house, just like anything, in case something creepy does happen to you. You want to make sure you can get out. And always, obviously, everyone knows where you are and when you'll be done. Obviously you want to make sure your cell phone is charged and all that good stuff. We don't want to be having any problems with you know, being there with no cell, which not only would drive you crazy, but, you know, we just don't want to do that. So any other things we might want to think about in terms of safety guidelines?
Well, Deb, I was just gonna say that as realtors, we can have our own security. So I know for my team, I didn't allow anyone to have an open house without someone there. It just was a policy on our team. So it doesn't matter if it was a $1 million home or it doesn't matter. Nobody's going to be working in open house alone. And if nobody had anybody to come, I mean, my husband has come to open houses with me. My dad has come to open houses with me. You know, so you certainly, they're not allowed to say anything, right? They can't perform any duties as a realtor. But see my 6'6" husband, he's my security, right? Like
His silence says everything. Yeah.
And
he'll, you know, he like hangs in the corner and plays whatever on his phone. But it makes me feel better. So, you know, if you are, you know, just be safe and do it in a way that, you know, is comfortable for everyone. If you're comfortable, you're going to be a better salesperson anyway, right? So
absolutely. And just as a note, it's not just women who are victims of people. So yeah, let's make sure that you're all building your business, you're setting your standards, and this is your groundwork. Ignite is your whole groundwork of how you're going to do your business. And
Deb.
Yes.
Hi, this is Lindsay White from the Greater Hartford Market Center in Connecticut.
Okay.
The another thing that can be done for open houses, especially if you don't have another agent and your husband's not available, I've paired with my lender many times.
Oh yeah.
And we've made a great team. So
yep.
Super smart, because they can also do pre-approvals on the fly as well. They have all the stuff right there. Somebody's like, oh, we need to talk to a lender. Well, Ted's right here. You can have a conversation with him. And it doesn't make it a commitment with that lender. It's just getting the initial intel done to see if they're qualified.
Absolutely.
Good move.
And make sure that you're in good communication and good standards with your lender. So he or she knows your standards. You know, we don't want some lender taking over your people, and before you know it, they've left the house. So make sure that, like anything, you set your standards and you communicate. Hey, you can have other people at open houses. You can have stagers. I love having a stager at an open house, you know. That can be cool. Remember, you also potentially are interviewing as a listing agent for a neighbor or somebody in another town or somebody in another state. You can certainly do a referral. So always have your ears open for that. So yeah, I mean, common sense goes a long way. Bring somebody with you. Most offices have most Keller Williams offices have a lot of agents, and you really should be able to find somebody that can shadow. Most offices have a lot of newer agents, right? And they love, you know, that's how everybody's gonna learn. And so again, building your internal relationships. So the next piece is really about following up and converting, but why don't we take a little break and come back, say 10:35. Is 10 minutes too long? No. 10:35, we'll be back and we'll start on the follow-up and converting and some other best practices that we really, really want to do that we've touched on a little bit, but we'll keep at it. So I'll see you guys in about 10 minutes. Good? Hey, guys, how are you? My thing going. Hello. How we doing? Everybody here? Everybody back in action?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, cool. So we should be able to move through here. One thing I wanted to mention that we talked about safety for a minute there. In the handout from the Elements Toolkit, there's a little thing called Open House Safety Handout. So let's check that out and just make sure we're up to speed on everything. So let me, where'd my screen share go? Hold on. All right, so let's move along a little bit here. We're in the old funnel and you know, we're still in the we're pursuing people, and we can speak a little bit more to the follow-up stuff. So we've captured the leads at the open house. Now we want to cultivate. We're sort of in cultivate mode. We're entering everybody into the database. We're tagging them. Are they an immediate buyer? Are they an immediate seller? Are they a future buyer? Are they a future seller? What is always our goal when we meet somebody? What do we really want to do here? What is our goal in these, for an open house and meeting leads? What do we want to do ultimately?
Get a listing.
We want to end up, we're going to get a closing. We want to walk away with we want to drive somebody to a closing and they get keys and you walk away with a check for yourself. But ultimately, we want to nurture these leads, and we want to at some point have an appointment. So when you have different kinds of, if you have a buyer who you've coded as immediate buyer or an immediate seller, we always want to set up an appointment. That is really the goal. Yes, we want to nurture and follow up and so on and so forth, but let's not forget to ask for an appointment. That is like, you know, that's really an important piece that sometimes we just forget to say those words. What's a good thing to say to ask for an appointment? Let's talk about that a little bit. You know, you've met someone, you've identified them that they're not working with any agent. They're a buyer. Maybe they like that house. Maybe they don't. Maybe they can't afford it. Maybe they can afford twice as much. How do we proceed when we have something called an immediate buyer? What do we do? What do we say? Anybody have any script that they might use to, when they've identified a buyer as an immediate buyer, what do we do?
Talk about how you can help them.
Yep. And what do you say, Jen?
I'm working on that. I gotta come
Yeah.
up with a value proposition.
I would just introduce myself and try to set up an appointment for, you know, a follow-up conversation to learn a little bit more about their wants and needs, and you know, try to set up a plan for them that's a bit more customized, and just to show that you care about what they want.
Their life. Yep. Who else? That's perfect, Liz.
I'd just say,
Go ahead. Go ahead, that's okay.
I would just say, how would you like to meet? Would you like to meet through a Zoom meeting? Would you like to meet in person? I'm available. I'm looking in my calendar. I'm available from 10 to 2 today, or 4 to 6 this evening, or would you like some other time? I mean, just set a time and a date.
What do you think, Mary? You had a
Yeah,
thought.
I actually need some help on this because I did have a phone conversation with a person about a week and a half ago and asked her about meeting for coffee. We talked about, I believe it's a little bit tricky. I don't know that she's committed to a list agent for selling her house, but I tried to be very clear in asking her, is she working with a buyer's agent? And the impression I got was no. But anyway, back to your original question to me. I did ask her if she'd like to meet for coffee. I mentioned 2 different dates and, you know, she didn't go forward with those. So actually last night I hand wrote her a note and mailed it this morning and just kind of reiterated what she said that she and her husband are looking for in a home. And I just said, would love to meet for coffee when you have a few minutes. We'll stay in touch. So trying not to be pushy.
All right, so that's interesting. So you've got a buyer. You're pretty sure she wants to buy something, correct?
Yes, she's been
All
clear,
right.
yes.
Anybody want to script? Let's script that for a minute, Mary. You want to do that?
Okay, great. That'd be helpful, Deb. Thank you.
Everybody cool on that? So let's free form it a little bit. So, okay, Mary, I've met you at an open house and I'm the agent and I'm going to call you up. So ring, ring, ring.
Hello.
Oh, hey, Mary, this is Deb Hayes over at Keller Williams. How are you?
Oh, fine, Deb. How are you?
Good, good. Listen, do you have a minute? Do you have a minute?
Yes, yeah, sure.
All right, cool. I just wanted to follow up. I met you today at the open house over at 123 Main Street, and you kind of mentioned that you might be wanting to buy and you're not really sure and you're kind of like that. I wanted to see if you might have time to sit and do, maybe we sit and have a Zoom call or whatever works, do a little strategy session and see if I can help you move forward. What do you think? Would you have time for that?
Yeah, I guess so. I guess I'm just not sure on working, with realtors, and we're not exactly sure when we're going to sell. And so I don't know. What would we talk about at the meeting?
I hear you. I hear you that you're not quite sure where you want to go. And that's what I do. I help you figure out how to get maybe from A to B or A to C, D, and E, depending on what you want to do and depending on your timeline. You may not do anything for 3 years. That's fine. What I typically do with buyers, I do a little buyer consultation. I'll kind of figure out what your wants and needs are. We determine how you are on a financial picture, and I can just move you from there. We can put together a little plan, whether it's a plan of attack for immediately or just an overview sort of snapshot of your life and where you might want to go. So no pressure, it's just sort of more of a consultation. I'm around later on today. I could do something maybe between 2 or 3, and I have something, I could do 5 if that's not too late for you. Otherwise, 10 a.m. tomorrow, I'm open. Do you think either one of those times would work?
Okay, 10 o'clock tomorrow would work out well because the children are, they're learning remotely, but they'll be set up by 8:30 to do that. Okay, that would be fine, Deb. Where shall we meet?
Would it make more sense where you've got the kids at home to do it via Zoom? I can do a little screen share and we can just do it real easy. I'll just send you the link and you just push the button.
Okay, yes, and that's easy. I'm not real comfortable with Zoom, but that would be easy to do.
Yeah, no worries. Okay. I'll walk you through it.
Okay. Okay. Well, that will be fine, Deb. That will be fine. Okay. Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye. See, scripting is always easy when the people are nice, but, how does everybody, Mary, as a buyer that you met in an open house, how did you feel that went? And again, I'm open to opportunity for improvement.
Sure. No, I think it went well. And you did what you've been teaching us to do. And I think my concern, not concern with this, is that without being too pushy, when I was talking to her on the phone a week and a half ago, I was trying to get clear if she had basically a commitment to another agent. And I didn't want to come across and say, I'm not allowed to talk to you, and I didn't, if you have another agent. But I felt like it was a kind of a warm introduction because it was a neighbor of mine who's a good friend of hers who put us in touch and suggested I call her. And so that part was fine. And so I guess I'm, without being too forceful, I just want to make clear kind of where she stands, because I don't know that she even has a formal agreement with a selling agent, but she did say there's this really nice woman who's been helping her a lot, and I've been in that position where I've helped somebody a lot, haven't had an agreement, and then I've
Well,
paid.
let's get an agreement. So, it sounds to me like she's, sort of floating a little bit. So
Yes,
it's
that's
not
what it
her
is.
job to figure out what to do. It's your job to help her.
Okay, great,
So,
good. Thank you.
And I think let's always try to move forward. We want to identify where they're at. It never hurts to have a strategy session, doesn't cost a penny.
Yeah.
And all you're doing is helping them get organized, and
Yes.
that's cool.
Great.
Paige, you have a question?
Yes,
Excuse me. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
I guess I'm like double raising my hand. Didn't mean to do that and be all aggressive.
No, I don't know how.
I guess my
Go ahead.
question was by what you said. It's really easy to talk to people who are nice and friendly.
Mhm.
But maybe in a case where like somebody used an agent before their contract expired and they weren't 100% satisfied, do you have any advice on like how to win them back and say, I know you used a real estate agent and that's great, but like this is the value that I can bring to you?
Well, it is all about your unique value proposition. You have to, and that was in something other class last week, about really understanding that you're bringing value to the table. Remember, this business isn't about sales. You're never going to be able to say, look, this kitchen is so great, you need to buy this house. This is a big emotional decision for people. Your job is to help them pick which house is the best for them. So you have to identify, and we all have to identify our value. If you have, some people do have bad experiences with other real estate agents, and most of the time people have good experiences, but like any business, you can have a fabulous, server at a restaurant always, and then have one bad one, and that kind of turns you off. So just always make sure that you're speaking at a high level, your standards are very high. And if you don't know something or something comes up, you are the resource that you're going to find. You don't know it. No one knows everything. You're going to be the resource to help them. So if we're talking about people who are immediate buyers or immediate sellers, you want to pursue them right away, because guess what? And remember, this is open house class. They might be running around talking to other agents, and other agents are going to follow up. Maybe not, but somebody's going to, and you want to make sure that you stand out and you give them what they need in their world. Any other comments or questions?
Thank you. Thank you, Deb.
Yeah, I mean, it's learned. So also, what do we do? Let me back up a little bit. What do we do when we have somebody that's not really ready? They're called a future buyer or future seller. Let's review that really quickly. What do? We put them into our database. We're going to locate a really nice, clean, smart plan that has some steps that are going to follow up. And it's not magic, guys. Yes, some of it is magical and it goes automated, but you have to have steps in there where you are following up, and it's a task. So it'll send an email. Hey, thanks so much for your time today. Really nice to meet you. Here's my contact info. Maybe 3 days later, they get a text from you. Hi, contact name. Just wanted to follow up, see how I can help you. And then now they get another email. Hey, so find a smart plan that's going to work for you and get everybody on there. So that's a little homework assignment. Don't spend hours and hours. Find some, get them in, and start implementing. You want to, obviously the goal always is to come from contribution and value. And I love that buyer strategy session or a seller strategy session. That's exactly what it is. Putting together a little strategy. Everybody loves that. I R&D'd that from one of the agents in my office, and I love that. I think it's a really good way, and people respond to that. Also, you want to get them on lots of different kinds of different ways that you're going to stay in connection with them. And how many times does it say we're supposed to connect with our database every year? How many times are we supposed to connect with people? Does anybody know that number?
36.
Got it. So if you do a once a month email, that's 12. If you do a once a month text, that's 24. And if you do a quarterly call, if you use the DTD2 profile, that's a call every quarter. And then you've got your little social media flips and plops in there. So you really can do it. So you really want to have, this is why it never always goes back to day one in that database. And these new leads are just more to build long-term relationships. And the better you do it in a very purposeful way, the more likely you're going to end up with a really, really good database that's going to feed you. And that's what it's really all about. So you stay in touch with them till the end of time is basically the story, the moral of the story. So what's some best practices here? All right, hold on, I gotta move this thing, is all over. So 4 ways to stand out. And we talked about this a little bit already, which is kind of cool. Like, you want to stand out at an open house. You want to be the best open house person in your town that really kills it. You want to have a speaker. Maybe you have as we talked about, a lender or a contractor or a home stager or something. I don't know. You might want to offer a gift, some sort of a raffle. You can get a $40 gift, something, and everybody will sign up for that. It could be a little technology piece. If you come to my open house and you sign in, you'll be in the raffle. You might win something. Maybe it's one of those cornhole things, whatever. You'll see grown people cry over winning a cornhole set. You should get one and have it branded to yourself, but that's down the road. So holding raffles, like Tim said, do a kind of a fun little, what do you call it? Scavenger hunt. Again, people aren't going through everybody's stuff. It's pretty easy to find things. So find your thing. What if you are going to lean into this, what is really going to be, the thing, what is going to be your thing? Preparation, long-term planning is the highest level of getting the best return on your investment, which at this stage of the game, unless it's a raffle, you really haven't paid much money. Also, if you have a lender or somebody as a speaker or somebody as a co-host with you, oftentimes they may supply you with a great gift that you can raffle off. A lot of lenders, they have budgets, that they get, that they are to spend to, remember, they used to host lunches for us and breakfast meetings and training. All that budget is probably somewhere. So you could even get $100 TV. That's probably giant. So let's be creative. Let's think of things that are really gonna make it happen. And my favorite thing in the world is number 3, get the house in shape. Obviously, if it's your listing, you're going to have a real hardcore discussion with your clients and let them know people are coming through this house and it has to be clean, bushes, sidewalk shoveled, the whole 9. Let's just make sure that's done. It kind of goes without saying, but let's just kind of remember that, Michelle, you have a question?
I was taking notes on that 36 touches, and I feel like I missed something. So I've got the once a month text is 12, the quarterly call is 4, the once a month email is 12, and I'm missing 8. Is that like a postcard mailing?
Yeah, it's different things. And again, you'll want to find what's going to work for you. It's social media connections, whether it's once, you have in your smart plan that person's name's going to come up on a quarterly basis, and you're going to reach out via social media somewhere, whether it's Instagram or Facebook, whether it's a private message or just liking something. That's part of the business now, is that social media stalking, so to speak. And you're not really stalking, but you're watching what they're doing and staying engaged with them. You want to make sure you're friends with everybody, all of these clients. Maybe get friends with them. So you want to find as many things that you can do. You can touch people in many different ways. 4 phone calls, 12 emails, 12 texts. You might want to put them on it, depending on their interest level, you might want to put them on an MLS search that they're getting notified of open houses, or they're getting notified of any new business coming, new listings coming on. So all of those things help you stay in touch with people. But all of the automated texts and emails and Facebook, all of that does not matter if you don't ever call them. You have to call people. Yes?
Charlotte has a question.
Yes, my
Sorry,
question was, I forget, do the touches only count like when the conversation is real estate involved, or is it also like commenting on people's posts to build familiarity and stuff like that?
What does everybody think? I'll let everybody answer that question. What are we thinking on that one?
I think it would count because she's getting that two-way interaction. And that's the whole idea, is to build rapport with these people and to make conversation. That way, at some point, you hope it's going to lead to you're in for real estate to say, hey, I can help you, you know?
Yeah.
I would
Anybody else have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I would say it depends on your relationship. I think if you met them through some type of real estate transaction, whether it be an open house, then they define you as a real estate agent. But if it's a friend or family member and you want to remind them that you're in real estate, it doesn't really translate. I would imagine that if it's a friend or a family member, you would have to have conversations specifically about real estate.
Mm-hmm. Any other thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. Touches are just, again, keeping you top of mind. It's so that you're the person they think about. So it doesn't necessarily have to be real estate related, but again, like the fact that you are a real estate agent you want that to be in their mind. It takes 19 touches to turn a lead into a contact, and takes 36 touches to keep a contact, to keep you at the top of a contact's mind. And that could be 4 phone calls, 26 bi-weekly emails or offerings. So this is in one of our earlier classes, I think, and I wrote it down. 26 touches, whether it be bi-weekly emails, offering, offer, again, we come from contribution. So something of value to them. Doesn't necessarily have to be real estate related, especially if you're sending an email with your email signature on the bottom that says Matt Howard, Realtor.
Yeah.
They see that email, it's like, oh, you want to go skiing at Bretton Woods? I got these discount tickets. I thought of you. Here you go. From Matt Howard, Realtor at Keller Williams. Oh, yeah, that was very nice of him. He's a Realtor. And then back in the day it was events, right? That was 2 more touches, is parties and events that we could host, but hopefully we'll get back to that.
We'll get back to that. I'm sure of it. Yeah, absolutely. But to answer the question, all of the above, yes. Okay. You cannot only talk about real estate. You'll lose all your friends.
Yes, but I was thinking more so sphere of influence. And I know, like, personally, I'm 22 years old, so I know a lot of my sphere isn't ready to have a real estate transaction yet. So like 36 times of me telling them I'm a real estate agent in a year.
No, you have to do a little bit of everything.
My only caution there is, go ahead, Erin, go ahead.
No, I was just going to jump in for there's a little bit of a limiting belief in there, Charlotte, that that your friends are not going to be transactional in real estate at any time. We all know people who've bought properties in their 20s. So the other thing is they all have their own spheres. They have parents and aunts and uncles and people they know from their neighborhood who are going to be transactional. So your 22-year-old friends could be your access to creating relationships with those people. So sometimes we get stuck as realtors and thinking about just the person in front of us and forgetting that there's a whole group of people that are in their world. And if we're doing the right things for them, they're going to introduce us to them, right? And that's what all of that is. And social media is great, and you don't need to bang them over the head every day that you're a realtor, you're a realtor, you're a realtor, but engaging and having those conversations. So
yes, that's why I was wondering about the touches being solely about real estate.
No, everything. And Tim, right, again, she won't have any friends left, but you're right, Erin. And guess what? Right, and I'm going to tell you something, Charlotte, and anybody else. You're going to have a ton of people in 5 years or 10 years.
Oh,
and
definitely.
You're going to sell literally everyone houses. So now's your time to build up. And they are watching and they do know you're in real estate and they do want you to do well. All right. So don't be like secrety about it. Just say, you know what, I'm killing it. I've got one buyer. Yay. You know, just be who you are and tell your story. And that's going to go a long way. Pipeline is huge. You're going to build a pipeline. You're starting right at the get-go. So you're in a really, really good position. Tim, you had a
Yeah, my
really-
concern would be Charlotte's going to reach out to all of her friends 37 times and never bring up real estate. And then they're going to start popping off on transactions and she's going to want to go lay in traffic.
Yeah.
So my concern for you guys is, well, I didn't want to be too salesy. You were super friendly an inordinate amount of times and you never, I mean, and again, obviously they might have to be tone deaf to not know you're in real estate. If you're not consistently, I would argue with the 36 touches, those should be an opportunity for you to bring up business and to bring up your real estate and that
Little
you're
bit.
doing these things because your friend that just graduated with you, and here's my concern for Charlotte and people that are 22, the good old days. I've got pictures, they're black and white. Anyway, you've got a bunch of friends that just finished university. You've got a bunch of friends that might have been the last bird to leave the nest. Their parents are looking maybe to right size or go to Charlotte and play golf and eat donuts. Like, I don't know what their next move is. We don't want to be tone deaf to that. At the same time, what you're going to find is you're going to have these conversations with your people and they are going to be reminded on a regular basis that you are in real estate. And we need to also make sure they understand you require their help to do what you do within real estate.
Right.
They think you walk into a lobby and there's a gumball machine and there's money flying out of the walls and everybody's getting free leads. And we practice that less here than any other brokerage on the planet, where we teach you guys to fish. We don't fish for you. So you need to make sure your friends truly understand that you do real estate. You're here to help them when they're ready, and you require their help to help other people.
Right.
So that fine line of zhuzhing the conversation forward and appropriately and not coming across as salesy where they stop taking your calls. At the same time, you could be like, well, yeah, I talk to everybody all the time. I never bring up real estate because I don't want to be pushy. And then they're going to start doing deals with other people.
Right. And I think the other point too is when you're having really true conversations with people, and if you follow that forward, family, recreation, occupation, and your dreams, I think D is dreams, they're going to mirror you. When you go, what are you doing? You're going skiing, you're going down the Cape, and then they're going to say to you, what are you doing for the summer? And when you say to them, how's work? I know you're a nurse and it's crazy. And they're going to say to you, so when you ask them about their business, it's very likely they're going to mirror back and ask you. You're going to say, it's really great. I love my office. I'm finishing up my training and I'm really looking for new business. Do you know anybody who's looking to buy or sell or invest?
Who do you know that I should know?
Yeah, who do you know that I should know? And they may not know anybody, but they might be hanging around later and they're at their mom's or their dad's and it's going to happen. So don't just keep pushing and you'll find your way. And I think as I said, you're in a really good position for a really big future. And pipeline is huge. Yeah, we always want the immediate buyer. They're going to come out this weekend, but we all really need those people 30, 60, 90, 3 years down the road. And before you know it, you won't go anywhere without people asking you about real estate. So don't worry, it comes, right? So best practice, when we're hosting, just back to the open house, we're going to welcome, make sure the house is in good shape. A couple of things here, some don'ts. Don't let your sellers leave valuables around. Don't let them leave any prescription drugs or any of that. Take that stuff and hide it, because people do come to open houses and go to the bathroom and take stuff out of the medicine cabinet. Believe it or not, that's what people do. I know it's nice to provide snacks and all that. You really can't do that so much now with COVID, but keep that to a minimum. Yes, if you want to have a nice presentation, but again, if you're going to be doing these all the time, that's a lot of carrying in and out of the house. And don't make assumptions about people or who they're with or what they're doing or what their lifestyle is. Remember all of that. All of that stuff. So let's always remember our fair business practice. So then we've got the old best practice success kit. When you have an open house, whenever you're a real estate agent, it never hurts to have a little thing in your trunk with disinfectant wipes, toilet paper, paper towels, pens, air fresheners, extra business cards, make sure your things charge, have a measuring tape, bring trash bags, and tissues. So when you go to a house and any agent that's been around has had this thing come up, they have no paper towels and somebody brings and some little kid drops a juice thing all over the place. So just be prepared and make sure you put these things in play so that you're prepared and you're doing you've got yourself under control and you can handle things in an emergency. Any questions so far? What are you coming up with here with things? Anybody taking away something really good here?
Bovie added a good thing to the list, extra disposable masks.
Oh yes,
Like,
masks.
oh, I don't have a mask. Have extra masks, gloves, helmets, mouthpieces, all of it, right?
Yeah.
We don't,
Yeah, be prepared, be absolutely prepared. So again, we talked a little bit about the old follow-up system. We're prospecting and marketing. We're getting people to this open house. We've got leads, tracking, where, the leads are sort of one way where you're sending stuff out. Contacts are when you're interactive, right? We're connecting, we're cultivating, and our ultimate goal, obviously, is to make an appointment for that strategy session, right? Follow-up plan. Now, here's another one. Michelle, you have a question?
If you want, you can finish your thought first. I don't want to interrupt, but I do have a question when you're done if you want.
No, go ahead.
I just wanted to go back to what we were talking about as far as like hosting and the best practices regarding the open house and like not having like the meds out and the valuables and stuff. How do you guys handle it with because obviously the sellers of the house won't be home. Is there a time frame where you're like, okay, my open house is going to be at 11. I need you out of the house by 9, 8? Like, what do you guys usually say for the sellers? Because obviously they got to figure out where to go for several hours, but.
Well, I mean, remember, we planned this open house since last week. I would say I will arrive, my open house is at 1, my neighborhood people are coming at noon. I'm going to be there about 11:30. There's nothing worse, and we've all done it, or I'll speak for myself, but I bet Tim has done it. When you come flying in at 2 minutes before the open house because of something, and people are there, and you're coming in, and you don't. It's a very stressful moment. You get there a half hour early, get the lights in. Now in COVID, every light should be on. Closet doors should be open ajar a little bit. Don't touch anything, people. And be prepared. I tell the people to be out of there. I really don't want them there when I get there because they want to chat and that's going to slow me down on what I'm doing. So I would, chat with them in the morning. Hey, I'm going to be over about 11:15. You should probably, head out a little bit before that. I'm going to get in and I'm going to get organized because some people might show up early and I've invited the neighbors. So does that make sense?
It does. Like, would it be too much to ask them maybe like they leave an hour before I show up, or is that not typical?
That seems like a bit much because they're going to be
hour.
Yeah, I would just, yeah. Any thoughts? Anybody else on that one?
Yeah, preparing them for the fact, at least 30 minutes, right? Because we want them to clear out. There's things there's throw pillows that they might love that maybe I'm going to turn around because it's got a chocolate milk stain on it. We've absolutely shown up to open houses and the family's still finishing breakfast, which makes me want to eat my face, because you can have the conversation 38,000 times.
Yeah.
Oh, it's fine. The house looks lived in. Oh, is that what we're calling this? Yeah. So we want to make sure we can get through there, get it cleaned up. We want to make it look human and lived in. Yes. We also want to make it presentable. I need the clientele, the future clientele, to be able to walk through and picture living their life here.
Yeah.
Not thinking, God, this place needs to be vacuumed. Right. And to Deb's point, invariably people are going to show up early if you're running late. And if you want to get out of there at 1:01, somebody's going to pull up at 1:04. Like Murphy's Law, people are coming later than always going to run late. So, bake in some time in your schedule for that. You're not going to be at your son's baseball game by 1:30.
Absolutely. Yeah,
And,
that happens more often than not. And people, go ahead.
We've had people talking about, like, with COVID, which is brilliant, closet doors open, and lights on. So there's nothing for anybody to touch. Somebody was saying, I think they didn't do this. I think they wanted to sound like it was a good idea. And I thought it sounded maniacal. They had all the kitchen cabinets open. Like, I don't want to know what flavor Pop-Tarts you're eating.
Yeah.
And I know what the average depth of a kitchen cabinet is. Like the closet doors open. Yeah. So I can see what's in there for shelving and stuff like that. So nobody has to touch anything. Lights on, doors open. And there's no need to touch anything. And right now in the current climate, more often than not, you're having one client group come through at a time anyway.
Yeah.
So it's pretty manageable, and you can guide them through there and just like, yep, everything's open already. That kind of stuff. Nobody needs to open the fridge.
Right.
Right.
And I think the buyers nowadays are very well trained in what they're allowed to do and what they're not allowed to do. They're pretty cool. They've been through open houses. They've gotten the riot act before they walk in. And most people kind of don't want to touch a bunch of stuff either. They want to be careful with themselves.
Yeah.
So I think and again, it all goes into setting up expectations for your sellers. And like anything in the world, if expectations are really clear, then things go well. If the expectations are not clear, it always leads to disappointment. So let's tell them what the day is. I'm going to be there 45 minutes early. I want you out of there at 11. Because yes, buyers will come early, and you never want a buyer trying to get cozy with, kind of working with, trying to get together with your seller. They're going to talk about how awesome they are and their kids and their dog and all of that kind of stuff. And that's going to ring in your buyer's ears. And we're the real estate agent. Our job is to handle this on a business manner, not in an emotional manner. So go ahead.
No, Deb, there's a question about pets, and you just brought that up, the pets. So yeah, you definitely want to make sure you're asking people to secure their pets or remove them from the property. And that's part of what you're setting up when you're setting up the open house. So, jewelry, money laying around, medications, and pets. So certain pets can't be removed from a property during open house, right? Like iguanas and fish and things like that. So making sure that they're secure. If you have cats are the hardest ones. Come up with a strategy for the cats. Like if you have a cat that cannot get outside, do you have a kennel that we could put it in? Do we not have that room that the cat is in for the open house is not open? People can't, if they want to come back for a private showing, they can come back. Like, you do not, as the realtor, want to be responsible for someone else's animals. I've heard of people walking dogs during open houses and things like that. You don't want to be responsible for that. So ask them as pet owners to secure their pets.
Yeah, absolutely, Erin. It is not really, it's going to end up being on our lap if we don't. Again, it's setting expectations. Most people that have a cat that doesn't go out are pretty focused on that cat. Yeah. So the recommendation is taking the cat with you, which the cat is not going to like, but it's their home. It's a product now. The house isn't coming with that cat. It doesn't need to be there. So these are conversations that you're having when you're preparing for your open house. Remember, this is a week ahead. So you've had plenty of opportunity to have these discussions, right? So what other questions do we have on that?
Well, Deb, if I could build on that, and this sounds really, really basic, but it's one of my pet peeves. Go through and make sure all the toilet lids are down.
Okay.
Because honestly, some people don't clean their toilets. I did an open house a couple weeks ago, and I said to them, make sure everything's put away, and she put away all the toilet cleaning stuff, but didn't clean the toilets. And it's just like, what kind of impression is that? And it seems really basic, but it's crazy. Another thing, and I'm kind of curious of what your feedback is on this, I just ran into this past weekend, is the agents not staying at the open house and just leaving the house open to the public and using COVID as the guise that the seller didn't want the agent there because of COVID, which is so backwards to me, it doesn't even make sense. In my opinion, I would fire that seller.
I don't know. Tim, what do you think? I can see you have thoughts. Something brilliant is coming.
Well, for clarity's sake, Kendra, you're saying that the seller asked, the agent is opening the house. and
Leaving.
leaving it open for
leaving.
people to peruse through
And
and using the cover of COVID, my
Yes.
best-selling book that's coming to a theater near you, the cover of COVID, to pretend that they weren't supposed to be there.
Do you see the look on my face?
Yeah, well, I clutch. Well, I'm not wearing pearls today, but I went to clutch the pearls. Yeah, that's a lot. That's 2 scoops of raisins. I think
was
that is
horrified.
wildly irresponsible. We are left to curate their house while they're in their absence. We are entrusted with the keys and the security of their home while we're doing an open house.
It's called
If that is practice
fiduciary.
at your market center
Yep.
or in your region, I would talk to local leadership about that and make sure that, because here's the thing, even if Kendra finds it crazy and I find it crazy, a younger, newer, growing agent might see another agent at another brokerage doing that and think, oh, that's a thing that we can do. No, I can't imagine my sellers telling me I'll be fine if you go to the movies while the door's open.
No, that's
Kendra is local leadership.
Well, and trust me, I climbed to even further local leadership because I was appalled. And I called the agent and I was like, I have clients sitting outside your house. I was out at a home inspection at the time. I sent them to your open house. It's 12:15. Open house was supposed to be from noon to 5. And she goes, oh, the keys are in the mailbox. Tell them to let themselves in.
Oh.
And I had to come apart. And I'm like, so you're gonna, and well, the seller said that they, because of COVID, and I'm like, I'm sorry, but if you're a responsible realtor, you would educate your sellers as to why that's not a good idea.
Yeah. Even
But
if your
my
seller
gut
was
says
telling
that
you
you're
they
lying
thought
and
this was a great
lazy.
idea, I know Nathan W. Dickey would be like, no, and this isn't, the L on my forehead's not for loser, that's liability. That
And
is
liar,
a
'cause I
massive
think she was
liability.
completely BSing me.
Yeah.
So so we have fiduciary duty. We all know what it is: obedience, loyalty, disclosure, confidentiality, accountability, and reasonable care and diligence. So I'm going to go on a limb, and I think everybody agrees that this person is not doing that. So as a Keller Williams agent, we are not going to ever do that. Correct? Just because somebody else is, we just know that that's not the right thing to do, whether the seller wanted to do it, the agent didn't want to attend their open house, but wanted to have one. It all sounds very, very unusual to me. I've never seen that ever, I don't think, in 30 years. So let's not do that one.
Please don't.
Right. Just out of curiosity, and we'll move on. It wasn't a Keller Williams agent, was it?
Oh, heck.
No. Good.
No.
And, sometimes agents simply aren't trained. I mean, common sense is common sense, but, some agents are in broke, that they're just sort of maybe not trained, and that's okay. And hopefully they'll learn from what their experience. So anyway, yeah, it's all about kind of following up in the old, oops, we're way ahead of schedule, guys. I don't know if I rushed it through or not, but hold on. So anyways, your lead generating model, obviously, we're always looking for appointment. We want them to be an active buyer or seller. We want to get them under contract, and we want to go to closing. So I don't know, Aaron and Tim, I feel like we're a little bit way ahead. We really didn't do, oops, hold on. We really didn't do, so tell me what do you guys do when you're ahead of schedule?
Well, we can do some calling if you want. We didn't do a call time. We can look at a script. We haven't, I think I don't know that we've ended this early, but.
We do have a smaller group.
Yeah.
So that may have
84. So we could do some script practice, and then some calls, and yeah.
So I don't know about everybody else's market center. We're very focused on the month of February through March on listings. Is everybody having listing contest in their market center by any chance?
Yes.
Yeah. So really, as every year, it's not special for this year. Every year is about getting listings, which, hey, then you're going to get an open house. So I think we should move into some calls, but let's do a little ahas here. How has can anybody speak to, has their thinking changed on open houses? Anybody have any comment on that?
I definitely would not have thought to invite the neighbors over for a personal showing, so that was definitely a good tip.
Absolutely, absolutely. Neighbors love to come to other people's houses. What else? Who's had a change of thoughts or change of mindset here on open houses?
I like the thought of, I think we talked about it in an earlier class, but the thought of you're not just there, especially as someone who's hosting an open house for a listing agent, of you're not just there to pick up buyer clients, that you're there to also prospect and you know, show yourself as a selling agent, right? So like, I think as a newer agent, you just think like, oh, I'm going to get a buyer. Oh, I'm going to get like my goal at this open house is to get a buyer, get a buyer, get a buyer, get a buyer. But to think like, okay, what if someone is just walking through the house disguised, they're thinking about selling their home. And you have to present yourself in that way to make sure like, hey, yeah, if you were interested in selling your home, I could do a great job doing that for you as well. And I think that's a great eye-opening experience, especially as a new agent. Because most of us, I think, just think, oh yeah, you go to open house, we don't really care if this house sells or not because it's not our listing. But realistically, you should think like, hey, yeah, hopefully you get a buyer, but you might have someone there who's a seller and you want to make sure that they're pleased with your performance as well.
Absolutely, and I'm glad that you made that hardwired connection on that, because that is very, very true. And even it starts right in the beginning when you want them to sign in. And people always have a little hesitation on signing in. But what you say to them is, I have assured my clients that everyone that walks into this home, I'm going to get their name.
Yep.
So
I use a program. I use an app called Block Party, which I highly recommend if people aren't using it. Because again, like COVID has its obviously downfalls, but also it helps us in some ways. And it's very easy to say, as a, promise to my sellers, as far as making sure that I know everyone that comes through their premises. Like if this was your house, wouldn't you want to know who came through your house?
Well,
yeah, I would. And Block Party is a great app. You get their full name, phone number, email address. You can set up questions in there to be like, I always have the question, are you working with another agent? Are you currently working with an agent? But you can add other follow-up questions if you so choose. You can set up an immediate follow-up response to them for like later in the day. And that way everything's already logged, right? You don't have to take it from a sheet of paper, then go home, type it up onto your computer. You can take that it creates that list. You can send it right to your CRM. We can mesh it right with Command if you wanted to.
Yeah, absolutely.
All those contacts will load right into Command if you set it up that way. So and again, like, yeah, I just need to make sure I'm able to contact trace for everyone coming through the house for COVID.
Absolutely.
So I just need your name, phone number, and email address in case I have to reach out to you and let you know that, someone came through and let us know that they were had any issues or anything like that.
Any issues for sure. So go ahead.
Vilma has a question and then Andrew.
Question too. When you
All right, go ahead. Let's have the questions.
Okay, can you have a dialogue with another agent, and that agent can give you a hard time because you've been trying to call that person and you are trying to get information from the person so you can meet, and this other person is giving you a hard time not responding your calls or emails or anything. So you can, how you go about it?
I'm not sure if I understand the question. Is this?
It's a suggestion that, let's say I give you a hard time and I don't answer your phone call.
Yeah.
How can you try to make it easy on you to get my information if you're not willing to do it?
Well, it all goes back to that system. What system are you going to use? Obviously, you want to capture their information as efficiently as possible and get it immediately into Command so that you can have a follow-up system in place. And you have to continue to reach out to them on several different levels: texting, email, phone call, rinse and repeat, just keep doing it. And at some point, you decide how you want to proceed with it. If somebody literally will, I don't know, there's two rules of thumb. Some people just never give up and some people do. And you have to decide what you want to do. It's a numbers game. So you want to have a lot of people.
Yeah.
As many people as you can. So you're going to get the people that are really ready and willing and able and want to work with you. So, you don't want to focus all your attention on somebody that isn't being as responsive as you'd like. And they just may be on that lower level and not really ready to move. But you stay in touch and stay in touch and stay in touch. And then when they're really ready to cross over, you will be their person. So
thank you.
Remember, everybody's coming at this thing at a different time in their world, and it doesn't mean that they're anything bad about them. They're just probably not ready, just like we are. We walk into a store and somebody says, how can I help you? You say, no, I'm cool, I'm good. But when you really do need something, you ask them, and that they're your person. So it's a lead generating game, and it's a follow-up. Andrew, you have a question?
Thank you.
Wait, mute.
Andrew, you're muted.
Andy, then he was frozen.
There we go.
There we go.
I kind of had an aha moment. I've
good.
done an open house before, and I thought what was really interesting was the raffle. I just thought that was a great way to grab people's contact information. I don't know. I just thought that was a pretty good idea. That's all.
And if you can find a vendor partner that would help support you on that cost, that can be really great. If you have a really good, and again, these are all the relationships that you're building. Yes, leads are important, seller, buyer leads, investor leads, but your support staff is just as important. All your lenders, you want to have 4 or 5 of them in different skill levels. You want to have attorneys, home inspector. All of that is building your database. So connect with a good lender that will support you in that raffle and put together a cool little plan. And now you need 2 weeks to get it done. And that could yet be another thing that you lean into, that's your thing, right? Most agents who are really top agents only do a few things. They're not doing everything they see on every link and everything that they see and jump on every fun thing. They have a few things that they do extremely well, and they stick with it. And that's what they do. I think as newer agents, we tend to look at all these interesting, fun, cool things that we could do. Let's get some things into play that are really effective and go for it. And again, this is part of your Ignite baseline training. What is my business going to look like? Who else had a question?
I just had a quick question.
Yeah.
For that app that you use, Matt, do you just have it on your phone and then you ask the people who come into the open houses the information and you log it in yourself, or do you have like an iPad set up, or?
Yep, I generally just use my phone. I have the app downloaded on my phone. I guess you could bring a tablet or an iPad if you choose. But again, it keeps the contact limited, right? They don't have to touch my phone. As they walk in, I introduce myself. Hi, I'm Matt. I'm hosting the open house. I just have a couple, I'm just signing you guys in. Can I get a contact name? If they have an agent, I'll just take an agent's card, right? Because we're able to, if they walk in with an agent and say, oh, I'm Aaron, I'm working with buyer A. All right, Aaron, do you have your business card on you? Oh, yes, here it is. Great. Can I have that? I'll take Aaron's card and don't have to really bother them too much again, because I now have Aaron's contact information if I have to reach out, right? So I'm not bothering them. But yeah, I just log it in on my phone. Name, it'll go. The way it works is before the open house even starts, I'm doing open house at 123 Main Street. Log that date of the open house, right? 123 Main Street is today's open house date. And then all of a sudden it's all tracked in there. So I can go back and look from any of the open houses that I've done now and say, okay, I had an open house last Thursday, I had an open house last Saturday. I did one at 123 Main Street. I did one at 125 Main Street. Here are all those. And then there's all that contact information in there. So I just hold my phone, ask them as they come in, and they're like, okay, feel free to walk around. If you guys have any questions, let me know. I also put up a sign out sheet, a paper one, just in case. Obviously I do that with like my listing documents on the kitchen table generally. And then obviously my my disclosure form. I know it's something that doesn't get talked about as much, but in Massachusetts, just make sure you guys, if you're hosting for the first time, that you guys go in and print out that your disclosure form, as a facilitator for that open house. And that just has to be displayed openly to the public, right? Because again, at least in Massachusetts, anytime you're meeting someone about a property for the first time, you have to have a disclosure. And at that open house, that disclosure form that you leave out handles that situation for you.
That's a very good point, Matt. And as part of your little package that you might have in your trunk, you might have that printed and have it on one of those clear stands.
Yeah, get a nice little frame for it, just a little picture frame,
crafty.
keep it synced, and then you just put it out there.
The other thing that's important to do, and if you have, whether you're techie yourself or somebody in the office can help you in designs, because we really want everything getting right into Command. And there's lots of great apps out there for having sign in. Listings to Lead has a good one, all of those other ones, but you can do a design that's a sign in to open house and it'll loop into your Command. So you might want to look into that as well. So
yeah, I'm sure there's all sorts of.
Yeah, absolutely. But to your point, Matt, get their info and get it somewhere and then follow up. So that's the last piece, what are your tools and models and systems that you are going to use? Make sure, as I said, don't have 100 things that you do okay. Let's do a few things at a really high level. And open houses, as newer agents, can be such a good opportunity for you to get yourself, right down on the ground in front of people, and then you're going to really develop your skills. So basically, that's it about open houses. I would sign up for them, do them, but do them in a purposeful manner so that you're really making it, a full system, that you're really getting what you need to get out of it, other than just popping into an open house and standing there. That's a waste of 2 hours. You want to make sure that you're preparing. Vilma, question.
No, I'm sorry.
Oh,
I
you're
was
clapping.
trying to, clapping. Yeah.
All right, cool. So, all right, Erin, what do we do? Do we want to wrap up? Does anybody else?
For a minute?
Yeah, sure, Jen.
How are you? Great job
Awesome.
today.
Okay.
It was really good. So I just want a couple of things that I've heard, and I think that all really good suggestions. Matt, Howard, I think you came up with some really great ones, and the raffles and everything like that. Couple of things I wanted to mention is if you are not, and this could have come up, I came on late. So if you are not from your area, an open house is going to be a great way to build your database, right? I have agents here that started brand new and went from brand new to capper in less than a year by just focusing on open houses. And here's the thing, they didn't just wait for people to say, I need somebody to hold an open house. They were very proactive, and they asked agents with listings, the listings that they wanted, the listings that they knew had high demand, the listings that were on main streets or that were more visible, to be present at those. So if I were to suggest anything for today in your action plan, is to go out there, look at the inventory that you have in your market center, and be proactive and call the agents in your market center on listings that you would like to be, the area that you're looking for, and everything. So be proactive on that. The other quick thing I wanted to mention is, Matt, I liked the app that you use. You hand do the information. One of the things that we do is a QR code. So that way, when somebody comes in, they just put their camera on and they scan the QR code, and then the Google form pops up where they put their information in instead
Yeah,
of
I
you
think,
doing
yeah, I
it.
think Becky mentioned that they did that. I have that for my digital business card, QR
I guess
code.
I need to learn how to do those.
Which I highly recommend as well. I use Hi Hello for my digital business card. It took me 5 minutes to make. It was
Cool.
free. Recommend that as well. Again, because just take out you open up that app, they can take a picture of it. You get their phone number from that, and it automatically captures their information, and your information for your
Awesome.
goes directly to them. So
And to follow up on Jen, you can also say when you're calling agents, you can say, I have completed the open house training and I will do a 7-level one for you. You know, I'm not just going to stand there. I'm going to market it. I'm going to do an ad in Facebook. I'm going to door knock or, you know, whatever you do. So that agent is going to agree because you're going to provide a great service for them. They're going to tell their seller that, you know, it's going to be all their idea, that they've got this great agent, you know, going to do this great open house for them. And when you do a really good job, somebody just came in from their first closing, jumping around, you know, that they're going to tell other agents, hey, you should call, you know, Andrew. He does 7-level. He'll do a good one for you. So it's good for you. So don't wait for that Facebook post that says I need an open house tomorrow at 1. You want to plan. So get yourself out there and do that for sure. So yeah, cool. I love open houses. You know, it's be prepared though. Don't get there at 5 minutes off. That's for sure. And again, set expectations. So any more questions, any last thoughts, any ahas that we can share with the group?
I was listening to you guys touch upon value propositions before, and I see that as very valuable to know what's my value proposition. I want to know how to utilize it once I like go through the drafts multiple times. Like, where do I put it? How do I use it? Like, where is it when I'm talking to people, or is it on my website, or like where would I put that?
Yes, 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 and yes. You know, it's part of your branding. It's part of your inner dialogue. It's part of your self-talk. It's what you provide to people. Yes, you want it on the bottom of your email signature. You want it on your Facebook. You want it on your website. You want it everywhere, and you want it coming out when you're talking with people that this is what I do. Yes, yes, you want it everywhere. You know, start and just have a checklist and make sure it's everywhere. And again, it's your internal language that you're saying to yourself, and that will come out. And the more you say it, other people will start saying it. Right? Does that answer that question?
Yeah, so it's just kind of like, yeah, I was a home auditor before, and now I'm a real estate agent. So I was focused on building efficiency for the long run, and now I'm also building value for the investment. So I'm trying to work on something like that.
All right, work on it. Work on it, write it down, practice it on somebody, have it really be what you are.
Okay, thank you.
Be super true to what you are. Go ahead.
Thomas, we're a company of systems and models. Gary would want you ultimately to, if you know, everybody's R&D and everything, right? It's all rip off and duplicate. So if we're going to talk about the MVVBP, and if we understand what that is, it's our mission, vision, values, beliefs, and perspectives, right? So if you can define those for you, and it's super simple to just go look at our company's MVVBP and then decide what those statements are for you. And then the thread that ties all those together, that commonality, and that's how you're going to show up. That's how you're going to behave. So if you can start to look at what, you know, it might be written in your lobby at your market center and start to take from all those. Look at the Y4C2Ts. How does that show up in your business? How does a consumer experience that, or a client experience that when they work with you? I think that's, rather than have to reinvent it.
Yeah.
A lot of the best practices in real estate are already being performed on a regular basis by our company because we all adopt the same standard, which is ultimately Gary's. So if you look at that KWRI MVVBP, you can probably boil that down to what's intrinsically you. And then you take your personality, your standard, and what you want people to feel when they've parted ways with you after they had an engagement with you. How did you make them feel? And that's going to really start to probably write itself for you rather than have to overthink it.
So
Right.
Tim, I have an 8-point system on how to create your mission if you want me to. It's really quick if you guys
Perfect.
would like for me to
Look
go
at
over it.
Bovie with the
Yeah,
win.
do it. Come on, let's do it. We love it.
So, all
I'm
right,
good
write
with
this down,
10.
guys. I'm going to tell you it. I'm not going to write
All
it
right.
for you.
Here
So,
we
so
go.
write
And
it
then
down.
Andrew has a question. Go.
I just thought this was interesting. I saw on the Keller Williams command site on the personal side where agents, interact with other agents. I saw that somebody had put on there, if anyone needs to host their open house or whatnot, let me know. I'm available whenever, And I thought that was pretty good.
What I thought was a first edition.
Prospects,
I agree, but your best practice is to call the agents who have listings and let them know you've just completed your open house course and you're ready to perform a 7-level open house, and put yourself out there and ask for that, and you'll get one. Just do it every Monday or every Tuesday, whatever. Get it, and get that is on your calendar. All right, Jen, let's hear your thing. We're gonna get Tom's value proposition all right now, today. We're gonna get
This is
done.
from Jeff Glover, Glover U. This is a great way to find your mission. So write this down, guys. The first thing you're going to do is pull out a whiteboard or a large piece of paper. And you're going to ask yourself, why did you get your real estate license? Why do you work here? That's your first question. And you're going to write down all the words, all the reasons why you decided to get your real estate license. Did you have transferable skills from another job? Was it because you have a passion for homes? Write everything of the why you got your license down. That's number one. Number two is you're going to look at all the words from above. You're going to look for consistencies above and circle the repeated ones. So you might have you probably wrote down a ton of things and some of it are repeatable or some of them are duplicated words. You're going to circle those words that you duplicated because those are the most important ones to you. So the second one is to look for consistencies above and circle the repeated ones. The third thing to do is ask a home run question. Well, what is that? If you hit a home run from the words that you circled above, how would that feel? How would that feel? What would make that experience? I'm sorry, what would you experience? Let me repeat that. What would you experience? If you hit a home run from the words above, how would that make you feel?
I don't really understand that. I'm sorry. What do you mean hit a home run?
So if you were to excel or just that would be like the winning saying. So example for my team, it is above and beyond real estate services. Okay. My last name is Bovie. The big thing is Bovie is in the sentence, right? So that's like my home run of winning that. Okay. that expression or mission. So if you were to feel really good about it and win that mission, okay, what would that sound like?
Thank you.
Does that clear it up?
Yes, thank you.
Great. So the fourth thing is to circle the consistencies above. So you're now going to narrow it down again. So the fourth thing is to circle the consistencies above. So when you ask yourself that home run question of if we hit a home run from the words that you picked from the first one, how would that make you feel? What would you experience? You're now going to circle those words as number 4. Does that make sense? I want to make sure we're on the same page here. Okay. Yep. Number 5, identify a word or phrase or sentence that describes the words circled above. This is going to take some time, guys. This, you should really think about this when you're doing this exercise. But it really will help you figure out what your mission is. So again, I'm going to repeat that. Identify a word or phrase or sentence that describes the words you circled above. So if I were to have multiple times service and above and excellent, those could be part of my words on my mission. Make sense so far?
Yep.
Okay. And I believe I'm on number 6.
Yep.
Identify how your mission will benefit the consumer. Think about the words that you have and identify how your mission will benefit the consumer. Write that out. Number 7, Describe the experience your consumer will have with you. Write out and describe the experience the consumer will have with you. Number 8, put it all together as a rough draft. And then here's the key. 6 to 9 words total should be your mission.
Yeah.
6 to 9 words, no more than 9 words. I would stick to closer to the 6. But that is the suggestion of creating your mission.
Can you repeat number 8 one more time?
Absolutely. Take all, put it together into a rough draft. So everything that you wrote on your whiteboard, your circles, your question, your home run question, identifying your word phrase, identifying your mission to the consumer, describing the experience, put it all together in a rough draft, and then come up with your 6 to 9 words total. Any questions on that?
Love it.
All right. It's not for me, it's from Jeff Glover, Glover U, so you guys could thank him for that.
Yep.
I just thought it was a
absolutely
very simplified way to figure out what your mission is.
Does anybody have a mission already? Right now they would share. Anybody? It is a work in progress, but get it done. Once it's done, it's done. You may grow and change as you move forward in your business, but that will probably always be your core. Your core doesn't really change no matter how big you get, hopefully. I mean, you certainly grow. Any other ahas?
I do see that Andrew wishes he could have it in a doc, and I'm sorry, but when I took the course, I had to write that down myself. They didn't give it to us printed out. I wrote it out as he told me. So I told you as he told me. It's in chicken scratch in my handwriting, and trust me, you don't want that. So if you have any questions or you didn't get one of the 8 steps, I'm going to put my email in the chat and I'll send it to you.
Well, Bovie too, Glover puts a lot of stuff on his website. So it's probably a resource you might be able to grab on Jeff Glover's website if you go to Glover U.
Right. Yeah,
I have a bunch of stuff from when he came to New Hampshire pre-COVID, when we could actually be in a room with him. So I may have it. I may have it somewhere too, because I
put it
feel
on
like
Facebook. Yeah.
Yeah, like I've seen it. So between us, we might be able to get it together for you. Yeah.
Nice.
Or you can all email Jen.
Yeah, there we go.
It's not what she was looking for today.
That's not the plan.
Not
the plan. All right, so we know what we have to do, right? We have to elements, goals, get your career going, 10 contacts every day. Let's do 20. 10 conversations a day. Let's do 20. Handwritten notes. I hope people are doing handwritten notes. And home previews. Let's make sure we know every single house in our town, what it looks like, what it smells like, what the backyard looks like, so that we can speak intelligently, because I'm telling you, it doesn't take long for people to ask you things. Like you know everything in your head about real estate. You will not go anywhere without that happening. Everybody.
Michelle, you have a question.
Yeah.
Is that, oh, sorry. There's a question in the chat, and I have the same one too. If you guys could just say again, like what it stood for that MVBVP.
Oh, that's Tim. Oh.
Still out here, no?
Mission.
Yep.
Vision.
Oh, vision.
Values. Beliefs. And perspective.
Thank you very much.
There you go. What else? All right. Lead generate, uncover motivations, identify objections, close deals, and speak in terms customers understand. Hold on. And build confidence. I don't know why this thing jumps up and down on me. So what do we, well, it's 10 minutes of 12. Does anybody have any coaching questions? Do we want to move into that? I'll let the group tell us what to do. Any suggestions?
I will not be able to stay. We have our all partners meeting in 10
Yep, I
minutes.
know, and I've got a hard 12, but it seems like we've had a lot of good conversations. I hope everybody found this interesting. I hope everybody, if you've spurred any question, if anything comes, certainly give us all a call. You all have team leaders and coaches and OPs and everybody in your office. Let's make sure that you move your open house world to the next level. Looking forward to getting out there and getting back in action. And let's get listings. Let's call people and see we've got a fantastic market right now where prices are very good. And you may have people that are thinking about selling, and this just might be the right time to do it. So let's pick up the phone and smile and dial.
Tomorrow is seller appointments. That's the class. And we've got Jason Westcott from our market center will be leading the class. So make sure you're here for that, because obviously, like Deb just said, listings are the lifeblood of our business. We want to make
It
sure we're
is.
getting really good at the conversation and that seller appointment.
You know, Tim, I want to mention really quickly, I was on a call yesterday for the region, well, actually for international, and they went over numbers with listings, and listings are creeping up on the West Coast like,
oh,
like
interesting.
you wouldn't believe,
There it is.
like 40%. So what does that tell us, Tim?
Listing heavy, buyer light, and prices are going to get corrected.
Yep.
Does that mean that might shift a little bit as we continue on into 2021?
Yes.
All right, keep an eye on that, guys. Listings are going to be coming a little more easily your way. So get in on the action, right? Why not?
Yep. Get in on the action, get your systems in place and be ready to rock and roll. Absolutely. Cool. Good class today. I love the engagement.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right, everybody go watch. Did the president
Thanks,
get
Deb.
sworn in? I didn't see. All right. Thanks, guys. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Bye, guys.
Appreciate all you guys.
Bye,
Bye-bye. Let me get out of here.
You.
Bye. Oh, here we go. All right, bye, guys.
Bye.